Happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into your home for political play-by-play, the Owen Report, live on this Friday, June 19th, 2026. And I guess you could say we signed off yesterday saying this is the current geopolitical game of poker being played in the Middle East. And now we've seen everybody play their hand. And it looks like we're right back to everybody's just at the table checked. Everybody is at the table checked right now. So for a minute there, it looked like, okay, is Israel going to fold? Is Israel going to raise the stakes? And they kind of bluffed with their strikes. Like, all right, we're going to raise the stakes. But then they pulled back and they said, wait. We check. And apparently now there's another ceasefire. Now, here's what I want to do today. We've got a decent news stack today, some odds and ends. I want to look at the developments after yesterday where we were all wondering, okay, what is Israel going to do now? The neocon crash out continues. The hardcore Zionist Israeli crash out continues. Even the bombing that they engaged in southern Lebanon was not enough. That was not enough for them. They're still their bloodlust for war has still not been satiated, but they've at least, they're not hyperventilating with their bombs right now. So they're still hyperventilating, but not with the bombs anymore. We've convinced them to drop the bombs. Not like that, not on southern Lebanon, to stop dropping them, I guess we should say. So we're going to look at these headlines, look at some of the reactions again. Now, here's what's so crazy about it today. As we've kind of been watching this whole week, what a crazy week it is. Maybe a historical turning point in the foreign policy of the United States. That's what this week could represent. It could represent the same thing it's represented every other time we've been on this merry-go-round, which is it'll be Monday, and we'll be right back to square one. We'll be right back to the war, and it'll feel like nothing has changed. Now, you know how I feel about this. I feel like there has been something. Something has changed, but maybe we won't really know until Monday. And, of course, the markets are closed today. Somebody said that to me yesterday because they asked, because, I talk about on air when I feel like if I'm nervous about a crash coming on a Monday, how I'll just dump everything. And I was talking about how, hey, I'm going to dump everything. And they were like, well, what are you going to do? The markets are closed tomorrow. And I didn't even think, well, it's Juneteenth, guys. It's Juneteenth. The markets are closed for Juneteenth. So this kind of even screws up the normal play of heading into the weekend. You either do the big pump or the big dump on a Friday, and then whatever happens on the weekend, the market responds on Monday, and you're just ahead of the curve is kind of what we've seen. But the market is closed on Juneteenth, so can't really get any indicators there. But I do want to take a bunch of calls. I really want to take a bunch of calls. So what we're going to try to do is going to hammer through all of this news. I don't know if we'll be able to do it all in the first hour. We're going to try to do it all in the first hour. And then second hour, nothing but calls. That is our plan for today. But what's so crazy, I got distracted from myself. What's so crazy about this new crash out, this new freak out about a peace deal, it's like slowly but surely the mask starts to slip more and more. Now you have Netanyahu and you have Ben-Gvir. The mask is totally off. The rhetoric that we've seen from Netanyahu and Ben-Gvir since the peace deal and what Vance has been saying this week, unbelievable. This is the big moment now. There's no denying. Say what you want. Again, I forget who it was. I think it was Cernovich said this last night. He was covering some of the Vance commentary, and he said, because I've expressed this frustration many times on the show. He said, hey, there's a difference between describing something and endorsing something. And it seems that, people are misinterpreting what Vance is doing here. He's describing a situation. He's not endorsing a situation. He's describing a situation. Yeah, I deal with that frustration all the time. So it's like I can come on here and I can show you, hey, look at the nastiness from Netanyahu. Look at the nastiness from Ben-Gvir. And the response is always, oh, you like the mullahs? You like the Iranian regime? It's like, I never said that. I never said that. That's a totally different issue. Describing something is different than endorsing something. So let's just get that. But he said it in such a way. He put it in such a simple way. It's like, I've been trying to express this. That's what it is. There's a difference between describing something and endorsing something. And people seem to not understand that difference. But maybe now that they can understand it like that, they will. So we're going to look at what Ben-Gvir, what Netanyahu said. We're going to look at some other responses in the media. We're going to look at some of what the IDF soldiers are saying. Now, it's not all pro-war. Let's show you the other side of that in Israel, as there are Israelis that are talking to their own people and they're saying, guys, what are we doing? We've had the greatest ally ever in Trump. We've had the greatest ally ever in America. Maybe at this phase of it, it's not going well, but what you guys are doing is you're destroying our reputation. You're destroying any hopes of a potential relationship with America. So not everybody in Israel is as out of their minds. Not everybody in Israel is as deranged as, say, a Ben-Gvir is right now. Some people are understanding the dire straits that people like Ben-Gvir and some of the other commentators out there that are complaining about this peace deal and now turning on Trump and turning on America. Some people over there understand that they're the ones making the big mistake here. But their big mistake is allowing Ben-Gvir and Netanyahu and Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin be the face and the voice of their political agenda. That's their mistake. And as long as those nut jobs are the ones that are representing you, you're in big trouble. And I think that they're starting to feel it. So we're going to kind of analyze all of that. And then we got some other odds and ends in the headlines today. Oh, I've been telling you guys about these rolling blackouts, and I was wondering if it had something to do with the power grid and the data centers. We got a news story on that today. Looks like my instincts, my intuition was right on. We got a news story on that today. The reflecting pool is back in the news, guys. Trump kind of did this to himself by making a big fuss over it. And now because it's, not going so well, now they're all blaming it on him. We'll take a look at that. And how can I not? I don't know, spoiler alert. U.S. men's soccer team. Spoiler alert, should I say it? Or do we not want to have the sports slop today? Too bad. They're looking good. How about that? We'll just say that. They're looking good. We won't do a spoiler for you. All that and more coming up on today's show. Today's show is brought to you by Allegiance Gold. Ladies and gentlemen, you're hearing about the stock market. You're hearing about the economy, bank runs. All of these things might be making you think, what should I do with my wealth? What should I do with my money? You got to be thinking about it right now in these crazy economic times. And if you're thinking about gold and silver, which many people are, wisely, you got to think about our friends at Allegiance Gold. All you got to do is go to protectwithowen.com or give them a phone call. Or just give them a phone call. And with that phone call, while you got them on the phone, guys, ask them. Say, hey, I was listening to the Owen Report the other day, and I heard something about $5,000 in free gold and silver with qualified investments. That's right. Pick up the phone. You're thinking about gold. You're thinking about silver. Call 844-790-9191. 844-790-9191. The call is free. They'll answer any question you have. Make sure you're comfortable and confident in the decisions that you make. And yes, ask them about $5,000 in free gold and silver with qualified investments, whether through your 401k, IRA, or savings. They make it simple to move into something before the next reset, which we all feel like could be coming soon. Now, whenever you're making a decision about your wealth and your finances, you got to have an A-plus review with the Better Business Bureau. I mean, that should be a standard bottom line. Has to be an A-plus review. Allegiance Gold, A-plus review with the Better Business Bureau. Nearly 10,000 clients nationwide, relationship-driven, and the phone call is free. 844-790-9191 or go to protectwithowen.com. That's protectwithowen.com. Protect your wealth because no one else will.
On the cutting edge of news and analysis, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, guys, how we doing on a Friday? Hopefully well. It's a holiday, guys. It's Juneteenth. How are you celebrating? I hope you're celebrating. I hope you're enjoying a little patriotic weekend on a Father's Day weekend. Looks like Team USA is going to send us into the weekend with a victory and an advancement to the knockout stage. That's exciting. That's exciting. Even if you're not a sports fan, that's exciting to see. Anything that gets that patriot spirit riled up in the country. I like it. I like it. But of course, that's not what we're here to talk about today. Now, when we left the show, when we signed off yesterday, I was explaining the current game of geopolitical poker that's being played. And the three people at the table, at least as far as this development is concerned with the MOU and Trump and Iran, it was Iran, it was Israel, and it was Trump or the United States of America. Now, you could argue Lebanon is there too, but Lebanon doesn't really have – Lebanon is essentially being represented by Iran at this point, which is really such a paradox, except that it's just outright propaganda. Otherwise, it would be a paradox. How is it that Iran, who is, supposedly the big bad here, the big bad guy, the big evil regime here, and again, I think all of them are bad. I mean, I think America has its corruption, Israel has its corruption, Iran has its problems. So, again, this is the description, not an endorsement, but it's Iran, supposedly the bad guy at the table, and it's Iran that's standing up for the biggest victim right now in that region, which is Lebanon. So Iran, I don't know who knows what's going on between Iran and Lebanon as these talks are developing, but for whatever reason, Iran has decided to stick its neck out there for Lebanon. For whatever reason, apparently they're the bad guys, but that's like the good guy thing to do. So those are the three players at the table. And we signed off yesterday and we said, okay, here's where everybody is at. America is betting that Israel will stop if Trump basically says, hey, that's it. If you attack Lebanon again, America's done supporting you. So Trump kind of bet that this would stop Israel's aggression, and then he could get a deal done and get the economy going again. Iran, I suppose, is betting that, I guess they think that they can trust Trump. At least that's what it looked like yesterday, that they could trust Trump. But then their wager is, okay, if Israel attacks Lebanon again and then we attack Israel again, Trump's not going to do anything. And this all kind of this actually still remains. This all still remains, even though Israel played its hand last night, which was bombing Lebanon again. There have been reports about dozens of people killed. Apparently, a couple IDF soldiers were killed too. And then there's all the back and forth going on about that. And then it finishes, and apparently now we're told that Israel has agreed to a ceasefire in Lebanon, that Hezbollah and Israel have a ceasefire. And so you look at it now, and you're kind of right back to, okay, you're in the same game of chicken, you're in the same game of political poker. They just kind of let Israel do its thing for a minute there. And then you can't help but get into the psychology of it. You can't help but get into the psychology of it. Why? Tell me how it makes any sense what we just saw Israel do, and then Trump, United States, and Iran to just say, hey, it's okay. How does that even make any sense? Especially when you look at the rhetoric now. I mean, there's no denying it now. There's no hiding it. There's no putting makeup on this pig. Israel is the reason there's no peace in the Middle East. The Israeli leadership are the most aggressive, bloodthirsty leaders in the Middle East, at least as far as foreign policy is concerned. You want to talk about a domestic policy in Iran, whatever. As far as foreign policy is concerned, Iran isn't the one bombing all of its neighbors. That's Israel. And now, after everything that's happened in the last 24 hours, there's no denying who the aggressor in the region is. There's no denying who the warmongers in the region are, and quite frankly, on planet Earth. Now it's all out in the open. Now there's no denying it. And you don't even have to look at an American commentator. All you have to do is look at what's coming out of Israel. All you have to do is look at what's coming out of Netanyahu. Look at what's coming out of Ben Gvir. Look at what's coming out of Smotrich. I mean, these are evil people. These are evil, nasty people. So what's the psychology of then the United States and Iran, maybe even the whole world, but in this instance, what is the decision-making process where the United States and Iran just say, oh, okay, Israel, you just violated it again. You just killed innocent people again. We asked you to stop again, and you violated it again. What is the reasoning behind allowing Israel to do this? Because it doesn't make any sense, quite frankly. And the only thing I can think of, the only thing that makes the most sense to me now, forget about conspiracy theories and just think psychology. I think all of these world leaders now, I think all these diplomats involved in this, they look at Israel as truly, this is how it's viewed. It's like a petulant, spoiled brat that has no self-control. Now, the problem with Israel as a petulant, spoiled brat that has no self-control is they have their finger on a nuclear button. They have their finger on a nuclear trigger. And so a kid's throwing a temper tantrum at the grocery store or whatever. You go pick up the kid, whatever, engage in your discipline tactics, whatever you decide. But it's like, okay, kid's having a temper tantrum. You get the kid under control. But if the kid has a sharp knife and is holding a pin in a grenade, all of a sudden it's like, okay, whoa, this is a little delicate here. How are we going to manage this kid with the explosive device and a knife? You can't just run in at it and yank it around. It's like, no, whoa. There's a knife and a live explosive here. It's like, whoa. And so I think that's how the world views Israel. It's a petulant, spoiled brat with its finger on the nuclear trigger. And they'd love to get this petulant child under control. They'd love to get this entitled, spoiled brat under control, but it's a very delicate situation because this child is so out of control and has its finger on a nuclear trigger. You have to be very delicate because we don't want the planet to blow up. And I've said it before, and I think it remains true. They talk about radical Muslims. They go around with these suicide belts. Well, Israel is a radical country that is a suicide belt wearing country. Israel has a nuclear suicide belt wrapped around it. And so that's why this whole thing is so difficult. I think everybody knows it. Look at what they say. Look at what they say. Look at what they do. It's like you run into a blood-drenched, murdering psychopath in a dark alley, you don't get aggressive with that person. You try to get the hell out of there and de-escalate. Seems like that's how the whole world views Israel right now. A kamikaze suicide bombing country state with a nuclear suicide belt wrapped around its waist, flailing and kicking around, throwing temper tantrums when it can't get its way. And I think that that's what they viewed this attack on Lebanon. And think about how sick it all is. Think about how sick it all is that that's how we have to deal with these current foreign relations. That, oh, Israel didn't get its way in a negotiation, so they just have to kill some people for a day. And then when they finish killing some people, we back off and we say, okay, are you guys calm now? Have you calmed down now? Can you catch your breath now? Did you get your stress relief out now? That was a spite bombing. Israel just bombed Lebanon and killed people for spite because they were mad that the deal between Trump and Iran didn't go their way. So they bombed over it. So they killed because of it. This is a petulant child that throws a temper tantrum, except it's a country, and their temper tantrums involve people dying. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. And I can't believe that the world is going to put up with this much longer, I have to tell you, folks. I don't understand how the world can put up with this much longer. And this is obviously a complex situation. The problem is with every day's developments, it gets less and less complex because it gets more and more obvious who the bad guys are. And then for people in the West, it's like, wow, the reality of what we're seeing is the opposite of what we're being told. You'd think Iran was the country bombing all of its neighbors. You think Iran would be the country piling up hundreds of thousands of dead in the last 2 years. You think it was Iran that'd be bombing and killing when the negotiations didn't go their way. No, that's Israel. That's apparently our ally. That's apparently the good guy doing that. That doesn't make sense. And I think the only thing that's been standing in the way of the entire world saying, okay, that's enough, whatever is going on in Israel here, that is enough. This is outrageous. And I don't know what that looks like, but you feel like the only person or the only country that's been standing in the way of that has been Trump and the United States of America. And that's why I think everything we've seen this week has been so delicate. Because now Israel, for the first time, is looking at the world potentially without the big bad United States behind it. And it just got a lot smaller, didn't it? Oh, yeah. They just got a lot smaller. They just got a lot more meek, didn't they? So they have to pump up, they have to puff up, and they have to start killing people again. That's their response. As the whole world is now staring at them, meeked and exposed, and now Trump in the United States is starting to sidle away. He's trying to sidle out of the conversation. And they're panicked. So what do? They start killing, and that's how they do it. So, okay. So the world just watched it happen again. It's like, this is what we have to do, guys. Sorry. Israel didn't get its way, so they're going to have to kill a bunch of people to satiate their bloodlust for a day. And then they'll maybe stop, and we can get back to the negotiating table and see if we can calm them down. But when you're dealing with people like Netanyahu and Ben Gvir and Smotrich, I think that this is not possible. And I think that that's what we're starting to learn. I think that that's what the world, maybe specifically the United States of America, is starting to learn. So all the world asks Israel to stop bombing Lebanon. Israel says, no, we're going to keep bombing Lebanon. Killed some people, destroyed some buildings, civilian targets, 150 bombs at least. And then Israel says, okay, we'll do a ceasefire. You're the only ones firing. It's so funny when Israel says, oh, we're going to do a ceasefire when they're the only ones firing. It's like, yeah, you're doing a ceasefire with yourself. You guys are the ones firing and killing people. It's pretty much just you. Israel and Hezbollah agree to halt fighting, officials say, as U.S.-Iran talks hang in the balance. And how can Trump put up with this? How can Trump put up with this? This is no ally. This is no friend. Israel is a friend to no one except itself. Israel is an ally to no one except themselves. It's never been more obvious. And they will never allow peace. Peace cannot exist as long as the current regime in Israel exists. There will never be peace in the Middle East, and maybe even the entire planet because of it. And I'm not going to sit here and justify that in some dogmatic explanation of, well, these are God's chosen people. This is ordained by God. The things I'd like to say in response to that. That ain't selling here either. And that ain't selling anywhere anymore, by the way. I don't think. So now apparently the Strait is closed again. Thank you, Israel. Iran Foreign Ministry says Strait of Hormuz is open after IRGC warned it was closed, sparking confusion. So it's closed because Israel started killing people again, so they closed it. Then there was a ceasefire, so Trump called them and said, please open it. I can't even imagine the back and forth that's going on with Trump today. Now, by the way, Trump didn't really mention any of this. He was unveiling the new Air Force One today. And this isn't even the new Air Force One that he purchased, by the way. It appears that they have decided to refashion the jumbo jet that was donated by Qatar into Air Force One. By the way, I like the look. Thank you, Qatar. I don't think I'll ever ride on it. I don't know. Schroyer 2032. I don't know if I'll ever ride on it. But, man, that jet looks nice. Thank you so much, Qatar. Boy, did Israel ever give us a jumbo jet? Just curious. No, just some pagers, some explosives, stole our nuclear secrets, some wars. No, we get a nice jet, though, from Qatar, a new Air Force One. Boy, that thing looks nice. That thing looks nice. Wouldn't you like to ride on that? The interpretation is they weren't going to use it for Air Force One. Now it looks like maybe they will. And I don't know the current status. You know, Trump ordered the new Air Force One like 6 years ago from Boeing, and they still haven't even. Nobody. Does anybody even know the status of this? Anyway, Trump didn't mention any of this. He did a little press conference during the new Air Force One reveal today. But he didn't get into the foreign policy stuff. And my guess is that if the ceasefire didn't happen, then he would have had to. So my guess is, and it'll probably come out this weekend, phone calls were made. There was some back and forth. Everybody said, all right, let Israel crash out. If they don't, they have to do this. This is like itching for them is, they got to do death and destruction. So just let them have at it. All right. And then, okay, we'll come back to the table. Trump makes some calls. Ceasefire is agreed to. Strait is back open. And Trump says, I'm not going to comment now. I'm going to wait. Because I thought for sure when I woke up, I would see something from Trump. I would see either a late night post or something from Trump. But instead, he does the Air Force One reveal today and pretty much doesn't want to get into it. Now, the press continues to attack Trump on the deal. No surprise. The most surprising miscalculation of Trump's second term. Now, this thing takes a little bit of a twist. You get into the foreign policy and the war. But they're saying, oh, no. This is the rest of the world is catching up to the United States. This is that there's patriots in Iran that will stand up to the United States. Well, I think it's important that we address something here quickly when we talk about the miscalculation. How do you miscalculate this? How does the White House, how does Donald Trump miscalculate this situation in Iran so badly? That's the question. Because clearly this was a miscalculation. Now, I don't even, they say, oh, Iran won the war, all this other stuff. Well, whatever. Clearly this is a miscalculation. However you want to, if you can even say there's a conclusion, some miscalculation was made. So how does this happen? Because now we learn the entire U.S. intel agency was telling Trump, you're getting bad intelligence from Israel. They're lying to you. Obviously, we know Gabbard stepped away. We saw what happened with Joe Kent. We saw what happened with his media tour. Everything he said has ended up coming true. They talked about how the Strait of Hormuz would be closed, how gas would go up, the economy would suffer, all these other things. Trump was warned about all of this. This was all brought to Trump before the decision was made, probably by Netanyahu on New Year's Eve, to launch this war again. So how do you have such a miscalculation? Is it that Trump is getting bad intel from Israel that he's trusting that he shouldn't be? Is it that Israel has leverage on Trump and can force him to make these decisions against the better judgment of his administration, his advisors, or even himself? Did Trump really think that he'd go for the moonshot and solve the Middle East equation and take that to victory as part of his legacy? How do you have such a big mass calculation? Because everybody seemed to understand that this is how it was going to go unless you decided to do an all-out ground invasion, which now we start to learn that's really what they wanted. That's what they were demanding. And that was Trump's red line in the sand. They were expecting a ground invasion. Trump said, that's my line in the sand. I'm not going to do it. And so now you're kind of at this stalemate where whatever Israel's agenda here is, beyond just death and destruction, that's just like breathing for them at this point. That's just like going through the motions of a day. You know, drinking water for you and I is like death and destruction for Israel. No, whatever the agenda is, whatever it is they're trying to accomplish here, they cannot do it without the U.S. military. And maybe even more specifically, they can't do it without U.S. military boots on the ground, and maybe even more specifically on Karg Island. And Trump said no. Smart move, by the way. So if you want to say, you know, dumb move getting us into this by Trump, okay. But if you want to say smart move, hey, you know, we're not going to do boots on the ground. Yeah, smart move, Trump. That would have destroyed the midterms to such a degree. I mean, forget about it. I'm not sure a Republican can win anything in a midterm if you put boots on the ground. And hey, let's be honest, it's still June. It's still June. Who knows what could happen next? But we all know the Israeli lobby is calling Trump today, or yesterday, or the day before, or every day, or every minute of every day, just to remind him that they own his ass. Whether that's by hook or by crook, but certainly by cash. And they call him and they remind him, Trump, you owe us. We gave you money. We own you. Trump doesn't seem so amused. So the same people that thought that they owned Trump, well, they do own media. They do own media outlets. They do own the press. And so now they're using their press against Trump. I wonder how far this is going to go. Top Trump donor Marian Adelson's newspaper runs scathing open letter to president. You failed. So now you have all these Adelson-owned media networks. Now they're attacking Trump. Oh, so it's true then. So it's true. The Israeli lobby only cares about Israel's interest. Wow, shocking. Who could have figured that? I'm stunned. Is that why they fund both Republicans and Democrats and own 96% of our congressional seats? I see. That's right, folks. They buy your government and your media for Israelis' interests. And there's no denying it now. It's wide open. They don't even bother hiding it anymore, in fact. So, Trump says, hey, sorry, Adelson. Hey, sorry, Israel. I'm the president of the United States of America. And if we continue the war at this pace, we're not going to have any energy. And my country's gas prices are going to skyrocket, and energy costs and grocery bills are going to skyrocket. I'm sorry, we can't do that. We've already done too much. This is it. This is the end of the line. I'm sorry, I have to put America's interests first now. And they say, oh, really, Trump? Don't forget we own you. And all of a sudden, it's Fox News hit pieces on Trump. Oh, it's all the AIPAC Republicans attacking Trump on the Hill. Oh, it's all the Adelson-owned media telling Trump he's failed. Wow. Thank you for the revelation. I mean, unbelievable. So you would expect that maybe from Israelis. You would expect that maybe from the Adelsons and the Israeli lobby. Okay, maybe even Fox News. Maybe you would expect that. But man, you look at all the people that are apparently independent in MAGA, right-wing MAGA media, and they're all turning on Trump. You guys are owned too? You guys are owned as much as the press? You guys are owned as much as the politicians? You guys too? And that's why it was so funny yesterday covering the Misfit Patriot deal. It's like he's saying the same thing. He's like, really? You guys are that bad too? Like, really? Yeah, really. It's one of those things where you only reach one conclusion, you know? It's one of those things that only trends one direction. It never goes back. Unless, of course, I guess if you're Lucas Gage. That didn't make the final cut. And I don't even, Lucas Gage can do whatever he wants. If he wants to take a different direction with his media and his coverage, I have no problem with that. He wants to go work with Jeremy Boring or the Daily Wire or all that stuff. That's fine with me. I have no problem. I have no problem with people taking their own path in the media, their own path with commentary and punditry. No problem at all. And so you know, the Lucas Gage, Jeremy Boring thing. My only thing is I want to know from Jeremy's perspective, since we had Lucas on and he's talking about, going through the dark path of anti-Semitism, and now he's found the light and he's seen the light now, okay. So I'm just curious though, good for Lucas. I hope he's happy and healthy. I'm curious for Jeremy though, since this is the material we're doing now, since this is the genre that we're doing now, I'm sure that Jeremy next is going to be doing the Black American that's no longer an anti-white racist next, right? That's what we're going to be doing. He's going to be, I mean, this is a genre, right? I mean, we're taking people in and we're doing interviews. They were once racist. They once hated a group of people. Now they've seen the light. Or are you just doing that for one group specifically? Right. Anyway, so this is where it's going to get hard for the Israeli loyalists and the people that are on the Israeli cause here in the United States. This is where it's going to get tough because Benjamin Netanyahu and Ben Gvir, I didn't even play the Smotrich stuff because he speaks in Hebrew. So, I mean, he can speak English, but the stuff that he's saying, which is unbelievable. I mean, these guys are literally just calling for nothing but death and destruction, guys. It's unreal. And they say it on these podcasts, but he goes on these media tours and he speaks in Hebrew. So I'm not pulling the Smotrich stuff today. But we do have comments from Netanyahu. We do have comments from Ben Gvir I'm going to get to right now. This is where it's going to be so much harder now to defend Israel. It's already pretty difficult considering the whole drenched in blood aspect, the whole death and destruction aspect, the whole what just happened in Palestine aspect, stand down, you name it. It's already hard enough. Defending Israel, you're going to come out bloody no matter what. But now, with the statements from Netanyahu and Ben Gvir, I don't know how you can defend this anymore unless you're just an absolute monster. Unless you're just an absolute warmongering monster. I don't know how you can defend this anymore. So we all know the ask was for Israel to stop the death and destruction in Lebanon. So Netanyahu immediately comes out and says, as I instructed, the IDF struck powerfully. 150 Hezbollah targets in Lebanon and eliminated dozens of terrorists. Well, they just say that. That's just their propaganda. Who knows who they bombed? Who knows if they're terrorists or not? Who knows if it's Hezbollah or not? Who really knows? They're just bombing out of spite. They're just bombing because they want to just give the world a middle finger. That's all it is. It's just like an itch. It's like scratching an itch for Israel. They had an itch, so they had to bomb. They had an itch, so they had to kill. And so here's Netanyahu just bragging about it. Trump's like, hey, Bibi, could you just not kill for a day? Trying to get a peace deal done here. Could you just maybe not kill people for a day? And Netanyahu says, screw that. F you. I'm going to hang up this phone right now and kill people. How do you like that? And then he brags about it. And he shows you the fruits of his death and destruction. He shows you the fruits of his bloodlust right here on X. Doesn't even hide it. Brags about it. Proud of it. Perhaps only outdone by Ben-Gvir. Folks, this is unreal. This is an official statement from Ben-Gvir. For every tear of an Israeli mother, 1,000 Lebanese mothers must weep. All of Lebanon must burn. You know, it'd be one thing if this really was a back and forth war. There is no war. It's just Israel fighting with everybody. And, you know, what appears like here, he says, for every tear of an Israeli mother, you know what it looks like now? It looks like Israel just cries all the time. It looks like Israel stubs its toe and cries. It looks like Israel has a bad day and cries. It looks like Israel gets a speck of dust in its eye and cries. It looks like Israel gets a hangnail and cries. It looks like, Israel doesn't get exactly what it wants and it cries. And so now, anytime Israel cries, we have to kill a bunch of people. That's what he's saying. And that's what we just witnessed. He says all of Lebanon must burn. You know, ironically, that's 6 million people. So you want to kill 6 million people, huh? What happened to never again? So your Holocaust in Palestine wasn't enough? You want to Holocaust Lebanon too, huh? How does the world tolerate these monsters, honestly? These are the biggest monsters in the world. And that's what, that's what I'm trying to not just understand myself, but it's like, this is what I'm trying to impart on people that want to tell you how bad Muslims are. Again, I'm not here to endorse anything. I'm just telling you what's happening. How are you going to come to anyone and try to argue that Muslims are worse at this point, when everybody's been watching what Israel's been doing for the last couple of years and the last couple of days, and now they see statements like this from Ben-Gvir? So if you really think that Jews still have a high ground on Muslims, Ben-Gvir has just dug it out. Ben-Gvir and Netanyahu have just dug out the high ground that Jews had on Muslims. You're now on even playing fields. How do you like that? You're not going to like that much, actually. It's not going to be very fun for you, especially considering how much hatred you've tried to sow against Muslims. You know, that hatred's going to get directed somewhere. And it looks like it's not going towards Muslims anymore. So you can't even play this game. They always tried to play this game of, hey, Jews are still the better people. Jews have the moral high ground over Muslims. Nobody buys that anymore. The high ground that maybe you had has now been dug out by Benjamin Netanyahu and Ben-Gvir. The high ground that you once had in this geopolitical discourse has now been excavated completely. There is no high ground. So all of this bitching and whining and complaining about radical Muslims, when it's coming from radical Jews, doesn't hold water anymore. And with the background of Israel's death and destruction, now you look worse. And now with these comments from Netanyahu and Ben-Gvir, how do you defend this? How do you claim to have any moral high ground anymore when these are your leaders? You don't. And I'm stunned that the world still puts up with this, quite frankly. And again, the only conclusion that I can reach, the only reason the world puts up with this is because Israel has their finger on a nuclear button. And that's why this thing is being treated so delicately. That's why these people like Ben-Gvir are being treated so delicately right now, because they have their finger on a nuclear button. And maybe it blows up the whole planet. I don't know, but that's the only conclusion I can reach, because otherwise this makes no sense. This is worse than anything Putin has ever done. I mean, you can't find any other world leader. You can't find any other country like this and point to their leaders and what they say and what they do and compare that to anything else on earth. And there is nothing worse right now. And that's why it's so strange that they think they have the moral high ground anymore. So he goes on and on. He says, all of Lebanon must burn again. Again. Israel must make it clear to the entire world, a threat to the world. These people would nuke the world. That's what it is. They'll nuke the world. They will. I mean, we've all seen it. Would you doubt it for 1 second that these bloodlusting psychopaths wouldn't nuke the entire planet? I have no doubt anymore. I have zero doubt anymore. They are completely unbothered by death and destruction. They seem to revel in it. Israel must make it clear to the entire world that the blood of our sons and the security of our citizens are not forfeit. Well, that's funny because you guys are the ones invading the other country. You guys are the ones invading Lebanon. That's what's happening. And everybody sees it. It's just insane. Israel goes into Lebanon, invades Lebanon, occupies Lebanon, kills a bunch of Lebanese people, and then says they're the victim. And says, how dare Lebanon do this to me? For every tear of an Israeli mother, 1,000 Lebanese mothers must weep. Well, it seems that Israel mothers cry 24/7 for nothing. It seems that they cry every minute of every day because they're like children. So this is Ben-Gvir saying we're going to bomb and we're going to kill for the rest of history. We will never stop killing. We will never stop the death and destruction. As long as an Israeli is upset, we will continue to kill and murder. Our killing spree will continue until there's no more tears. Well, what does that even mean? For every tear of an Israeli mother, 1,000 Lebanese mothers must weep. These people are monsters. Enough with the ping pong in the Middle East. You don't win with measured response and restraint. You need to go berserk to obliterate, to crush the terror. These are the terrorists. So now we're here. Now we're here as a country. Now we're here as a planet. And you might even go as far as to say, it looks like everything that we have been told about the Middle East is a lie. It looks like everything we've been told about Middle East and foreign relations is the opposite of the truth. And how do we grapple with this? How do we grapple with this? That's pretty heavy, considering everything that's been done with this prior mindset that, hey, Israel is always the good guy. Well, now we've realized, ooh, maybe Israel's not the good guy. Maybe Israel was never the good guy. Maybe this whole thing was a lie. Boy, that's kind of heavy, considering the ramifications and the implications here. That's a pretty heavy realization. And now it seems undeniable. And they don't even bother hiding it. So what's the next mask off moment? What's the next mask off moment? Another nuclear threat against the planet? Are they going to admit? Are they going to brag? Hey, you don't want more towers coming down. Excuse me? What was that? America better back off or they'll see more towers come down. What was that? I'm sorry, repeat that. Trump better watch out or he'll have a hole in his neck. Huh? What's the next mask off moment? I mean, seems like we're getting there, to be honest. Seems like we're getting there. And look at this. This is the California and GOP Jewish Community Engagement Chair. So this is a GOP, a Republican Jewish Community Engagement Chair. And she's covering this today. And she says, the deal is off. That barely lasted a day, and the Jews are the scapegoat. I mean, guys, the Jews are the scapegoat. What are you talking about? The whole world just watched Trump and Iran reach a peace deal. We all saw exactly the details of this peace deal. And the one demand from Israel, the singular demand, was, could you please stop killing people in Lebanon? That's it. That was the only demand. And Israel couldn't do it. And then you're going to say the Jews are the scapegoat. What are you talking about? First of all, you know, this is the big crime. You want to talk about the big crime committed against Jewish people? This is it right here from Elizabeth Bar Kohana. This is the crime committed against Jewish people right here. This is the anti-Semitism right here. When you conflate the actions of the IDF, when you try to stick the death and destruction at the hands of the IDF to every Jewish person on the planet, you are the anti-Semite. You are the bigot. You are the one doing damage to Jewish people. You. If I'm out tonight at dinner and I'm sitting at a table next to Jewish people, I'm not sitting there thinking, gee, why did you do that to Lebanon? Doesn't even come to my mind. I'm thinking, hey, these are some nice Jewish Americans, live here in Austin, Texas with me, enjoying their dinner like everyone else around me. Nice. But people like Elizabeth, and she's the Jewish community engagement chair. And she wants to stick the death and destruction at the hands of Israel. She wants to take the blood-drenched Netanyahu regime and she wants to smear that over every Jew on planet Earth. You're disgusting. You call yourself a Jewish community engagement chair, and you're trying to conflate every single Jew on planet Earth with the death and destruction by the Netanyahu regime? You're doing damage to the Jewish community. How ironic is that? I mean, this is layers of irony. So okay, beside the false equivalency of every single Jewish person is responsible for the IDF's action, which apparently a Jewish community engagement chair is engaging in here today, Israel is the one that violated the deal. Israel is the one that is killing people in Lebanon. Israel is the one bragging about the death and destruction in Lebanon. What do you mean they're the scapegoat? They literally did it. I mean, I shouldn't even have to do an analogy for this. I shouldn't even have to give an example, but I mean, this is how ridiculous it is. This is like if I walk up to you and I slug you right in the face out of nowhere. If I just step up to you out of nowhere and I just punch you right in the mouth, and then you say, hey, why did you do that? And there's a police officer right there. Says, officer, come here. This person just assaulted me. And I'm like, why are you scapegoating me? You're scapegoating me. Why would you do this to me? You just walked up to me and punched me in the mouth in front of a police officer. What do you mean? You're scapegoating me. I'm the victim here. What? What? So that's where we're at. Now let's look at the situation in Lebanon. We're getting some transparency here. So Mario Nafal, he's got one of the biggest accounts on X, says, anyone wondering why I'm criticizing Israel a lot today? Your defense minister just said this. And then we went on to talk about what he said. And so he's covering that. It's obviously despicable. Any normal person, any good human being with a soul that loves life would look at what Ben-Gvir said and say, you're an absolute despicable monster. You will be going straight to the bowels of hell. You absolute monster. So a total normal reaction. So here's somebody from the IDF who responds. Now, I want you to, this is, again, it's like, what is the next mask off moment going to be, guys? I'm telling you, this whole thing is mask off. And it's so strange because the arguments that they're making, they think are like in their favor when we're just sitting here saying, so you're just admitting it now. Netanyahu's like, that's right. We bombed 150 targets today. It's like, oh, so you violated the peace agreement and you killed people today. It's like, what? What is your Ben-Gvir? All of Lebanon must burn. It's like, gee, you guys are monsters. How dare you say that? It's like, what? You just said they should all burn. What are you talking about? You sound worse than Hitler. Hitler is blushing. Hitler is blushing at Netanyahu and Ben-Gvir. Hitler is looking at Netanyahu and Ben-Gvir and giving them a slow golf clap, like, It's like they're studying. So here's the IDF soldier weighing in. He says, 2 years ago, I fought Hezbollah in the first line of villages in southern Lebanon. So that means you're in a foreign country. Okay, so first you invaded a foreign country. So you're admitting you invaded a foreign country. Okay. We found 50 caliber machine guns, rockets, rifles, and hand grenades at every house. The first line of villages was nothing but a military base. Keep criticizing us as much as you want. Oh, okay. So in other words, Lebanon and Lebanese people are defending their border? So let me get this straight. You just admitted that you went into a foreign country, that you crossed over a border and invaded a foreign country. So that's your first admission. And then you're saying, yeah, we went and we found that these Lebanese people have weapons to defend themselves. Oh, you mean like, do the Lebanese have a right to self-defense? Do the Lebanese people have a right to self-defense? Do they have a right to a border? And I mean, good Lord, can you imagine living next to the Israelis? You might feel a little inclined to have a bunker at your house, considering your next door neighbor is a bunch of bloodthirsty, psychotic freaks. maybe you're inclined to have some self-defense mechanisms, knowing that your neighbor could at any time could come charging in and gleefully stab you and kill you. And this has been going on for years. So, okay, they present this as a winning argument. As they say, oh, Israel has the right to self-defense. Does Lebanon have the right to self-defense? Does Palestine have the right to self-defense? Does anyone have the right to exist? Does anyone have the right to defense, or is that just Israel? And oh, there it is. There it is. I only know of one culture and one religion that actually teaches inherent supremacy, and that's happening in Israel right now. And I guess that's why they believe that, hey, we can cross the border and that's fine. We can invade a country and that's fine. We have the right to self-defense, but you don't. It's like, well, how do you reach that conclusion? What is that psychology? Well, because I'm supreme. I'm God's chosen people. You're not. So I have the right to invade your country. I have the right to take your land. I have the right to kill you. You don't. What other conclusion am I to reach here? Seriously, what other conclusion am I to reach here? You're admitting you invaded a foreign country, and you're admitting that they are there trying to defend themselves. And how is that? How does that work in your defense exactly? So it's a total mask off moment, guys. So what are they going to do next? That's the question. All right. We got more hatred directed at J.D. Vance today. I want to take a short break. We're going to look at the J.D. Vance stuff, get to the rest of this news. Congratulations. Team USA officially advances 2-0 victory over Australia. They will be playing, I believe that means July 1st in Santa Clara. So those tickets were going for $2,300 2 hours ago. Probably be $5,000 by the end of this hour, if you're curious about that. I'm going to come back into the rest of this news, and then we will open up the phone lines here. But wow, what a week, huh, guys? What a crazy week.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
He's called the Babe Ruth of political talk and analysis. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
You know, you guys, probably a lot of you follow InfoWars Fan on X, shares a lot of clips of the show. He's even done some graphics for us here. And he sent me a message right before the show started. I kind of just want to read it directly. I won't even try to paraphrase because he says it so right. And it's true. You know, after it was either October 8th or October 9th, when I went on air and I warned all of this would happen. I said, this is going to change the entire direction of political discourse in this country. And it's going to become Middle Eastern centric. And it's going to be so bad that we're actually going to be seeing protests with foreign flags in the street. And you're going to see one group protesting with Israeli flags, one group protesting with Palestine flags. There won't even be an American flag in sight. And now all of this has happened, but he sent me this and it's just true. He says, one of the things you have pushed since October 7th is why are Americans fighting each other about the Middle East? They have been 100% successful in turning Americans against each other. Instead of us talking about America and improving our lives and our country, all we do is fight about the Middle East. And that's what I was warning. That's what I was warning. That's what I've been warning. And now here we are. And I also, of course, warned that all of these people would turn on Trump and Vance the minute that they won't do Israel's bidding in the Middle East. And now we've seen it. Now we've seen it. And I hope we all see this. And it's going to be remembered forever. This is a generational thing. And, you know, somebody was explaining too, and actually, you know what? I think I have this on the show today. So let me not get ahead of myself. This is the attack. Is this person inside Israel? I don't know. It's obviously an Israeli here. I don't know if they live in Israel or America. Oh, J.D. Vance is an arrogant a-hole who got my mom's crackhead hillbilly, DEI affirmative action every step of the way. He hates Jews. He was a liberal Democrat who still is one. Listen to these people. He's a loud wimp who was silent when his own wife was attacked by Nazis. Lowlife. Yeah, either be a slave to Israel, or they tell you you're an arrogant a-hole and you hate Jews and everything else. It's so woke right. Literally, Jews are to the right what black people are to the left. The victim class that they can virtue signal, fundraise, and engage in propaganda with. That's all it is. That's all it is. So this is from Israel, and I think it's good that we cover both sides of this so that you know that there are people in Israel that are sane in responding to this. This is an Israeli diplomat here, Yanir Kozin, responding to all the attacks on J.D. Vance, and he pretty much nails it here. He says, J.D. Vance is a kind of new Republican, but the truth is that he is a reflection of the new American in the coming decades. 1, he has no emotional connection to Israel. 2, he didn't grow up with the miracle called the State of Israel that was the lot of many Americans in the 1950s, especially at the end of the 60s. And from that commitment was created to ensure the well-being of the miracle. 3, this is a self-feeding circle. There are more such new Americans for whom Vance is their voice. And the more you attack Vance, the more that becomes true. And I think that that's what he meant in the self-feeding circle. In conclusion, Vance holds a mirror, as per the commandment of these days, of course, before my arrogant and self-absorbed colleagues in the Israeli government who probably heard too many Netanyahu speeches and watched too many paid mouthpieces and truly believed that Israel has become a global superpower that can bend the president of the world's second superpower, the U.S., if it just feels like it. And, well, that is still not the reality. I don't know who he considers to be the number one superpower. I'm assuming China. Doesn't clarify. Vance, of course, exaggerates when he says that Trump is the only leader in the world who likes Israel, but he is not wrong in saying that Trump is the most significant leader in the world who likes Israel. And also that his fondness for us is the most significant for us. Harsh and judgmental words that could never have been uttered if Netanyahu had restrained his government colleagues and not feared their political shadow. Pretty much nails it. Now, the second part of this, maybe you can kind of engage in some disagreements or some pushback. Directionally, it's right. And it's this right here. It's these 3 bullet points where he's spot on. And by the way, this is this not what I have been saying for years? Is this not what I've been trying to explain to the Israeli loyalists and try to get them to understand their source of the frustration? It's beyond that we don't have an emotional connection to Israel. It might have been there. I would say that at one point you could say the younger generations have no emotional connection to Israel, and that would have remained true. Now I think you could say there is an emotional connection to Israel, and it is a very negative emotion. It is a very negative feeling and emotion towards Israel now. So it might have been neutral. It might have been a no connection or a neutral connection. It's now a negative connection. But that's the big misunderstanding, is when all of these people are trying to argue on Israel's behalf, they don't understand. We don't care. I don't care about Israel's interests. I don't care about the future of Israel. I'm sorry. I don't. And I don't think anything you can do will convince me that I should, because you've been trying to do it my whole life. And here I am, not convinced. In fact, convinced of the opposite now. So it's not working. And now that's not a no connection. It's a negative connection. It's a negative perception. It's a net negative relationship. And then he gets into the generational thing. How much have I been talking about this? That it's all generational. And in a couple election cycles, nobody's going to care about Israel that goes out and votes and can control the outcome of an election. So I've been saying this for years, and now finally it looks like some people in Israel are trying to get this message across to their own government. But I think we see now, for Netanyahu and Ben-Gvir, it just doesn't matter. And then you have the Blaze today with Steve Deese doing a segment like he pulled it right from the Owen Report last year. If you folks make it very plain that the reason you prefer Marco Rubio to J.D. Vance is over the relationship with Israel, you're going to nuke Marco Rubio. I mean, how long have I been saying this? I've been saying this for over a year. Yeah. See that? It's a little thematic today. That's for DMT right there. That one's for you, DMT. That one's for you. Now, what else do we have here? I know we got a couple more things. Oh, well, this one hit me. This one was near and dear to my heart. Mona Khalil, guardian of the turtles of Mansouri, succumbs to injuries after Israeli strike on her home. The founder of the Orange House Project refused to leave her home despite the war. So she was famous. They called her the guardian of the turtles in Mansouri. She was always on the beach saving sea turtles, make sure that they can get to the ocean. There's a bunch of other pictures out there with these turtles. You know me, I'm a turtle guy. I got a turtle, I got a tortoise too. They're running around my backyard right now. Israel killed the guardian of the turtles. I got to tell you, that could be the one that does you in, guys. And I'm kind of being facetious, but I'm also not. I'm also kind of a little serious about that. And that's not a me thing either. I wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of the turtles. There's something magical about those sea turtles. The oldest living creature is a Seychelles tortoise. He's about 200 years old. They think he's 196, I think, Jonathan. They don't know his real age. He's about 200 years old. Sea turtles, they can live to be hundreds of years. These are beautiful, monstrous creatures. Even they can be huge. I wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of the cosmic karma of the turtles, guys. Wouldn't want to do it. That could be it. It's like half facetious, joking about, don't cross the turtles, but also half kind of like, I don't know. killing the guardian of the turtles might not want to do that. Did you see a bunch of Israelis got attacked by foxes? Did you guys see that one? There was a fox attack on a bunch of Israelis on a beach. I think it was in Lebanon. One of the beaches, was it Lebanon or I can't remember. One of the beaches that the Israelis are occupying in a foreign country right now. I think it was Lebanon. They got attacked. I'm dead serious. Foxes attacked them and started clawing at their faces and eyes and stuff. So maybe there's something there. I mean, you tick off the world enough, maybe the animals start to turn against you. You know, there's something magic about this universe, folks. So, okay. Then there's Laura Loomer. This is crazy. This is crazy. Laura Loomer. I actually learned something about this yesterday, too, that I can't believe I didn't know. So on Loomer's show, I guess this was a Wednesday night, I believe. I think this was Wednesday night. I know we got some Loomer fans. Does Loomer Unleashed still follow the show? He might be able to tell you when she said this. Laura Loomer is trying to end Track AIPAC. You know what? Let me just play the clip. So Loomer goes on her show and calls for internet censorship, guys. That's where we're at, okay? Hello, everybody. Hi, how are you? It is Friday, June 19th, 2026, and free speech advocate Laura Loomer is now calling for internet censorship
of these crazy lies and propaganda that is spread by people who retweet this insane account that really should be.
You know what? By the way, before we even get it, she says lies and propaganda. Laura Loomer reported that Joe Biden was dead. Laura Loomer reported that Joe Biden was dead. Now his brain might be dead, but he is very much alive. In fact, he was at the Obama library dedication. Dazed and confused. We have a story on Biden, dazed and confused yesterday. Literally, he's silver alert. No. Oh, Laura Loomer. They post lies and misinformation, says the woman who reported with 100% confidence multiple times that Joe Biden is dead. You reported Joe Biden is dead, and you're going to point the finger at somebody else for putting up lies and misinformation? That's hilarious. But no, she calls for the censorship. I'm sorry, I interrupted the clip. Short clip. Here's the censorship call.
Of these crazy lies and propaganda that is spread by people who retweet this insane account that
she even laughs at herself. She even laughs. Yeah, no, I think Loomer has enough self-awareness. I think she's laughing at herself. She says, oh, the lies and propaganda. And then in her own head, she was like, yeah, I do that a lot too. And then she laughed at herself. Did you guys catch that? I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. I caught that. When she says they engage in lies and propaganda, she laughed at herself because she knows that's exactly what she does. I'm sorry. I'm playing the clip.
Lies and propaganda that is spread by people who retweet this insane account that really should be banned for incitement to violence. Twitter should literally ban this account and ban people who repost this AIPAC tracker account.
Oh, so Laura Loomer just called for thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. How many people follow Track AIPAC? Let's see. How many people follow Track AIPAC? I got them pulled up right here. 466,000 people follow Track AIPAC. So this is what Laura Loomer wants banned from X, banned from the internet. And then anybody that follows or reposts, I guess I'm in the clear. Uh-oh. Whoa, what's happening? Someone's taking over my mouse. I'm not in control. I can't. What is this? No, Laura Loomer now wants me banned from the internet. I fund Track AIPAC. Laura Loomer wants me banned. Laura Loomer wants my show kicked off the air. Oh my gosh. Oh. So, okay. So here's Laura Loomer calling for anybody that follows or shares and is with Track AIPAC to be censored from the internet. So Laura Loomer just called for hundreds of thousands of people to be censored from the internet. Now, for those of you out there that know who Laura Loomer is, you know how ironic this is. Now let me point out one thing quickly before we get into the irony here. Notice Laura has never called for censorship like this ever before. She doesn't call for censorship of any other. There's all kinds of things that you can follow as far as political money is concerned, there's all kinds of different accounts and news and websites you can follow that show you how money is spent on politics. There's all kinds of accounts like that. The only one that she has a problem with is the one that exposes AIPAC. I wonder why that is. I can't figure out why. Why is Laura Loomer only concerned with transparency when it comes to the Israeli lobby and no other lobbying group? I'm just curious. I wonder if Laura would like for her, the people that fund her, to be exposed. Maybe we'll learn more about that. I don't know. But why would Laura only be calling for one source of political donations to be secret and none other? Why is that? But okay, let's get into the irony. Here's Laura Loomer. Now, many of you know, in 2018, when they did the first round of censorship with Alex Jones and InfoWars, and I got caught up into that. Obviously, I was at InfoWars. So when they wiped Alex off the internet, they wiped me off the internet. So I was in the first round of censorship there at InfoWars, and that was round one. I mean, that was the big test case. And some will say there were other instances and other individuals. That's true. But as far as the big censorship agenda, that was really the first big blow. That was really the first big play. So I got mopped up into that. And because they got away with that, they ended up, expanding that net a little bit. And eventually Laura Loomer got hit. And I think it was, they took away her X account in 2019 because X was a little slower to the punch. I credit Jack Dorsey for that. I think Jack was under a lot of pressure to do the censorship. He didn't want to do it. I think X, well, at the time, I think Twitter got so big and so political for him that he just didn't want anything to do with it. But think what you want about Jack. That's kind of my interpretation. So then Laura goes in front of Congress. You may remember Billy Long, Congressman Billy Long from Southern Missouri, who was an auctioneer in a prior life. He starts going into auctioneer mode and while Laura Loomer stands up at a hearing. I think it was a Jack Dorsey hearing. And Laura Loomer stands up at the hearing and starts complaining about censorship. Now, it's funny because when I did that, I got arrested. Laura Loomer did not. I got sent to jail. I had to go into a jail cell. I don't believe Laura Loomer did. Whatever. So she has disrupted congressional hearings to protest censorship. Very noble of her. Then Laura Loomer, later, I believe it was January of 2019, went to Twitter headquarters in New York City, and she chained herself to the building to protest censorship. And if you want some more details, Laura, she chained herself to the building, and then she put on a gold Juden star, like, the Nazis used to do to Jews. So she was invoking the Holocaust. She was invoking, Jewish victimhood. And she's saying, oh my gosh, look at me, I'm a Jew and I'm being censored by Twitter. This is a crime against humanity. And she chains herself to the door of Twitter for a protest. Well, noble of her, protesting for free speech. I'm with it. I was getting censored. She was in kind of that second, third round mop up. So we all watched it and we said, it's a little unorthodox. It's a little crazy, but okay. All right. She's protesting for free speech. Well, now she's anti-free speech, I guess. Now she's protesting for censorship. Now she wants people to be censored. And in whose interest, by the way? But guys, listen to this. I can't believe I didn't know this. And I'll give Enrique Tarrio credit. He's the one that told me. He told me this yesterday. This is crazy. So that day, Laura chained herself to the Twitter headquarters. They had to bring out like a whole rescue team. She didn't have a key. I don't know if she didn't have a key or they destroyed the key, or I don't know, maybe she threw it down a sewer or something. Maybe a sewer, she handed it to a sewer person, they're climbing around in the tunnels down there. So they had to bring out like a whole rescue team. One of the men that was a part of the rescue team lost his finger. Whatever they had to do, chainsaw or whatever it was, a guy who rescued Laura Loomer, who chained herself to Twitter headquarters door, one of the first responders lost his finger. Doesn't have a finger today. So I guess the finger was lost for nothing, huh? I guess this guy sacrificed his finger. Maybe at the time he thought, well, you know what? This is for free speech. Well, now Laura is for censorship. So I guess the finger was lost for nothing. How did I never hear about this? I would say Laura Loomer owes this man at least like a Rolex. I'm not the biggest fan of those watches, by the way. They kind of suck. But like, you get the point. Like a car, a Rolex. Like, dude, this guy lost his finger for your insane protest that you've now completely turned face on the actual issue. And he lost a finger? You'd think that, if somebody saved you after you did something dumb and they lost a limb because of it, you'd think you'd be like in serious debt. You'd think you'd make sure that everybody knows, hey, this hero lost a finger. That finger was promised to her 3,000 years ago. Well, oh my gosh. That was in, I think that was in Leviticus. One day, a troll-like woman will chain herself to the bird door, and a hero will lose a finger. This finger was promised to the bird girl 3,000 years ago. So here's AIPAC. I told you the Democrats were going to start campaigning against AIPAC. Ro Khanna, one of them taking the lead, he makes this announcement. I am proud to be the first Democrat to take this pledge to reject money from AIPAC and affiliated groups, recognize the genocide in Gaza, and oppose aid to Israel and military sales that kill civilians. I know Graham Plantner has said something serious, but I guess since he's not technically in office, that Plantner said something similar. He's actually returned the money. Plantner took money from AIPAC. He returned it, or he claimed he did. So I think Ro Khanna is saying he's the first Democrat in Congress to do this. So I anticipate this is going to be a big thing in the midterms, leading up to the midterms, and it'll all be strategic. Some Democrats will do this because they think it'll help their chances to win. Other Democrats won't do this because they think it'll hurt their chances to win. So it just depends on the district and the Democrat. But now this is going to be a campaign issue, and there's no avoiding it. And it's going to be a campaign issue in probably the majority of races now. I would say AIPAC and foreign lobby money is going to be a big issue in the majority of races in this midterm. And now the Democrats are taking the lead on this, and they're going to force it into the conversation. Well, AIPAC is responding. Are they going to call for censorship? They say this is wrong and undemocratic. Oh, yes. Yeah, free speech is now wrong, considering it hurts AIPAC, I guess. This isn't about policy or PACs. You're signaling out a certain individual Americans as different than others and using lists to track their activities. Folks, you realize that's exactly what AIPAC does? You realize that's exactly what the Israel lobby is doing, is saying that Israel is different, and they're tracking you and putting you on lists if you don't support them. They brag about it. They do whole conferences about it. I mean, how many damn clips have I played about this? This is insane. And so they say, are there any other Americans who you are painting as toxic or just our community? And Ro Khanna points out, he says, many Democrats refuse money from the NRA, big pharma PACs, big oil. This is based on policy disagreement. Of course, I would meet with AIPAC constituents and engage in dialogue. There is nothing wrong with turning down funding from Americans whose policy you disagree with. I love AIPAC gets called out. Oh, poor me. It's only me. I'm the only one. I'm the victim. And Ro Khanna says, nope, actually, we treat the NRA, big pharma PACs, and big oil PACs the same. So, no, you're not special. I know you think the whole world revolves around you, but it doesn't. It doesn't. But get ready. But AIPAC did get a young man fired recently. Do you guys believe this is a fireable offense? So here's a young guy who works at a hospital. Looks like he's just a staffer. Young guy works at a hospital. He shoots this video and he uploaded this video to TikTok, and AIPAC got this guy fired. Do you think this is a fireable offense? So he's fired now. He got fired. He got fired for this 10-second video. Fired. And AIPAC is bragging about how they got this young guy fired. You know what's funny is Sam Hyde just did a video that is, I mean, it's actually, Sam Hyde is a comedian. It's funny. But Sam Hyde just did a video that was, Jewish-based humor, let's say, and he uses, racial epitaphs and slurs and everything. And Sam Hyde just shot this video on the streets of, I think it was California, making these jokes. It's hilarious, by the way. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, you can't fire him. He works for himself. It just sucks, man. So, hey, I don't know what the message here is. Work for yourself. If you want to have free speech, work for yourself. Otherwise, somebody's going to try to punish you for what you say. But, yeah, he's fired. Young guy fired. How dare he? Totally not living up to the stereotypes, by the way. Definitely not living up to the stereotypes that you guys have unwarranted influence. Okay, let's pile drive through some news, and then we'll take some calls here. LA City Council approves ballot measure to allow non-citizens to vote in local elections. Oh. The Los Angeles City Council on Thursday approved a ballot measure for the November election to allow non-citizens to vote in local areas. Now, people are concerned this is already happening. But now, and it's Council member Hugo Soto Martinez. This is who proposed the idea. No, so maybe it's already happening, maybe it's not. They want to make it legal. The Democrats are trying to make it legal for non-citizens to vote in local elections, which, by the way, it already is in New York City and other places. So, wow. Let's see, guys. How many IQ points does it take to figure this deal out? So you open the borders, you bring in a bunch of foreigners, you move them into the certain districts, you tell them vote Democrat, you'll get free stuff, and then you say that they can vote. Wow. I wonder what the goal here is. I wonder what the agenda here is. Can anybody figure it out for me? I'm too dumb. California billionaire tax makes ballot despite opposition from tech moguls. Wealth tax criticized by billionaires and Gavin Newsom would levy a 5% tax on residents worth over $1 billion. So you know what that means. All the billionaires are going to move. Well, actually, they won't even have to move. They'll just put their residence in Texas or in Delaware or South Dakota where they don't have to pay these taxes, and then they'll just have a house in California and live there, but they won't technically reside there. So they'll get around this. But if you're in California, you can vote in November to take 5% of a billionaire's money and to allow a non-citizen to vote. Now think about how crazy that is, because this is technically the first ballot measure, meaning if it passes here, then they can get it to a vote. So they can't pass it yet. Although I think actually, no, with the billionaire tax, they can pass it. With the non-citizen voting, it's the proposal to pass it. So they're still one step behind the billionaire tax. But you could be living in California in, say, 5-6 years. This is insane. Somebody could move. Somebody could walk from any Central American country. Somebody could walk from Guatemala, whatever, and they could end up in California. They could end up in Los Angeles, and then they could go vote to take 5% of an American billionaire's money. How ridiculous is that? Foreigners can now move to California and vote to take an American's money. Lord help us. Lord help us. All right, I've been complaining about these rolling blackouts in Texas, and I formulated a conspiracy theory that I thought this was for data centers. Well, I guess today you can say I've been proven right. Again, I'm sorry, I can't, it's just, we're calling the shots here, guys. We're calling the shots. It's the theme of the day. Just let me have this one, would you? Let me just have this one. Federal regulators order grid operators to speed power to energy-hungry AI data centers. I knew it, folks. I knew it. I knew that there were rolling blackouts happening. And I assumed that one big difference, why would they be happening? It's the data centers. And now it's confirmed. There are rolling blackouts so that they can power these data centers. Now, they admit what they have here is they have the federal regulation and the orders. So it's like there's a top-down pressure from the federal government to the states to redirect energy to the data centers, to redirect energy to the AI away from the citizens. So it's kind of a top-down operation happening here. But what we don't really know yet is exactly how it is they're managing this. My assumption, my intuition is if there's bad weather, they turn the power off and they just say, oh, it's the storm. Or what was happening here is it'd be like 2 or 3 in the morning and they would just turn the power off for like a couple hours in the middle of the night when everybody's asleep, hoping nobody would notice. Or they'll just say, we're doing power grid operations. The power needs to be down. But this is what's so crazy to me. It's like, I'm crazy, but it's like, you're so crazy, you're sane. This is the crazy nature of the current world we live in, where I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, these are rolling blackouts. It's like I'm living in reality. I'm conscious and I'm noticing things, right? It's like I care about the environment around me. I care about what's going on around me, and I notice and I care and I ask and investigate. So it's like, yeah, clearly there's these rolling blackouts happening. It's got to be for these data centers. Oh, crazy conspiracy theory. Oh, you're nuts. Oh, you're crazy. You're making it up. It's like, do you even live in reality? Like, do you ever look around? Do you ever pick your head up? Do you ever take your head out of your ass? Do you ever pick your head up from your cell phone or whatever the hell else is going on? Like, do you ever just look around and wonder, like, what's happening here? You should try it sometime. Might help you. Just an idea, just a thought. That's just me trying to help you. Biden, bewildered Biden, gets left behind at Obama Center opening. Where's my granddaughter? He's sitting there on the stage. He starts rambling. He says, where's my daughter? He doesn't know where he is. He's confused. Actually, and then Joe Biden had to, do the whole wrangle him off the stage. I think George Bush was actually more confused yesterday than Biden was. There was this weird moment at the end where George Bush pops out of nowhere and just starts wandering around the stage like he didn't know where he was. Obama's library. Will you be going? Will you be going to Obama's library, you racist? Why aren't you at Obama's library right now, you bigot? You need to be getting on a plane. If you can't afford a plane ticket, walk. Get on a bike, and you need to be dedicating the Obama library, or you are a racist. Why is it so ugly? It's like, really? You couldn't make it look good? You couldn't even try? Did you guys see the video with Maloney and Trump? I didn't bother playing it. Got a lot of attention. And so Trump had to say, well, yeah, we had this awkward moment. She was begging me for a picture. Well, I guess that was just he just made that up, which wouldn't surprise anybody. Trump totally fabricated claims she begged him for a photo. Italy's Giorgia Meloni says the prime minister, once regarded as one of Trump's closest political allies in Europe, said she was stunned by his remarks. Yeah, I've been telling you, Trump just makes stuff up, guys. He literally just makes stuff up. He just says stuff that has zero basis in truth or reality. He just makes it up. So this was another one. Somebody asked him, hey, what was going on with you and Maloney? He says, oh, she was begging for a picture. Never happened. It's kind of like, actually, you know what? The administration is now, what is the name of the show, guys? I love the show. Fact or Fiction, Beyond Belief. Trump is like the host of Fact or Fiction, Jonathan Frakes, right? Trump is now like Jonathan Frakes. It's like, you really don't know if it's true or not. It's one of those great shows from the 90s, if you don't remember it. Fact or Fiction, they go and they tell, it's usually like 4 or 5 stories, an hour-long show, and then you have to decide, was the story real or not? And then sometimes the crazy stories are real. Sometimes they just make them up. That's where the famous, we made it up meme comes from. That's like Trump. Trump is like Jonathan Frakes. Is it Frakes? I prefer Frakes. I might be getting it wrong. I don't care. I prefer Frakes. It sounds cooler. So Jonathan Frakes, the host of Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction, that's like Trump now. So it's like, okay, he says something, and then you have to go back. Did that really happen? It's like, no, he made it up. Did Maloney really beg Trump for a picture? Not this time. We fooled you. Jonathan Frakes, fine, whatever. Whatever. And then there's the reflecting pool. Firm tied to Trump donor got no bid contract to clean reflecting pool. Yeah, we heard about that. And then they upped the charge like 4 times what they originally thought. Maybe that was legitimate. Maybe it's not. Now the thing is falling apart. There's algae everywhere. Yes, the paint, guys, is already coming apart. Blue paint at the bottom of the reflecting pool is peeling away. Look, I'm not going to sit here and make some national controversy about the reflecting pool. All right. It's not some big issue for me. I want DC to look pretty. So I think Trump does. I think everybody should want DC to look pretty. So let's just all assume we want DC to look pretty. That includes the reflecting pool. So I don't want to make a big story out of this, but this is kind of one of those things that Trump does to himself, where he's the one that made the big fuss of the reflecting pool. Trump is the one that made the big fuss about the reflecting pool and tried to use it as some political hammer against the Democrats. And so now he's kind of reaping the negativity because he made it about him, and he made it about this was his agenda to clean up the pool, and now it's gross again after a week. And the paint is peeling. So I don't know what they're going to do. It's probably too embarrassing to have to drain it again, but they're going to have to. It looks like they're going to have to drain it again and redo the whole deal. I think it's sad. Blame whoever you want, but it's just like Trump did this to himself. Trump is the one that did the whole reflecting pool bit, and now he's going to have to own it. So whatever. But it's strange that it went down like this, because there were people that said this would happen. There were people that do ponds and pools, and I remember reading their comments when they announced this plan. And they said, hey, if Trump does this, the whole thing's going to fall apart. This isn't going to last a month. And they were right. So I don't know what the deal is that Trump cut with these guys. I don't know if they had the right experience, but it's not good. They're probably going to have to drain it again, but that might be too much of an embarrassment, so they might just wait. Maybe they'll just do it and not tell anyone. They don't want you to know. They're still attacking the World Cup in the press, and I'm not digging it. Empty rooms and plunging prices. World Cup tourism is off to a slow start. Now, I can tell you this is fake news, guys. This is totally fake news. Hotel and visitation numbers were expected to spike this year. So far, several of the host cities have instead seen slumps. This is complete bullcrap, ladies and gentlemen. I don't understand. I guess they figure that attacking the World Cup or framing this as a failure, it somehow hurts Trump. And this is where you get back to kind of the radical leftism from 2016 and 17, where it's like they would rather spite the country if that meant hurting Trump. So it's like, let's just call the World Cup a failure because we think that hurts Trump. Maybe you think it will. I don't think people care that much about it for the politics. But as you know, I've been following this World Cup, and I was a naysayer. I was on the negative train with this, and I admitted I was wrong. But this is total BS. Plunging prices is actually a lie. I've been monitoring the ticket market. The prices did not plunge. If anything, they went up. And they are selling out, by the way. There are not empty stadiums. Now, there's a couple games, between like the Ivory Coast and, Little Sisters of the Poor that might not be completely sold out. But no, there are not empty stadiums. There are not empty stadiums, and people are buying tickets for thousands of dollars. It is happening. And the people that are traveling here, the people that have been able to make it here from Europe and around the world, they are loving our country. They are having a blast. They're having a blast at our stadiums. They're having a blast eating our food, going to our grocery stores, even our gas stations, meeting new people. No, this World Cup has been a smashing success. I'm willing to say that we're about a week in now. I think we're just over a week into this World Cup. This has been a smashing success. And I was a naysayer. No, this World Cup has been such a big success. We will get another one now. Now I'm confident we will get another one. So don't buy these negative headlines. Don't buy it, guys. We have done a great job. America as a host nation has been a total success for the World Cup. Don't buy these negative headlines. It has been a success and people are enjoying it. And they even are buying the expensive tickets. Hunter Biden challenges Don Jr. to a cage fight in post-slamming offensive UFC 250 event. Would you like to see a cage fight between Hunter Biden and Don Jr.? And who you got? I think instincts would say Don Jr., right? He just seems to have a little bit more power maybe behind him. He seems like he has a little bit of a power advantage. They seem about the tail of the tape seems about even. I would say Don Jr. seems to have kind of the advantage there naturally, but you have to take it in mind. The crackhead ability to take pain and to take a beating might be the edge. That could be the edge. Hunter Biden's ability as a crackhead to just take a pounding might give him the edge against Don Jr. Would you like to see that? Would you like to see a cage fight between Biden and Hunter Biden and Don Jr.? Who wouldn't? Guys, I've been talking about getting a new studio. I think I have found the site. I just need a little help from you guys. I just need a little help from the audience today. You guys have been so great to me. I love my audience so much. I'm so appreciative. I feel so blessed that I'm able to do this. But I need a little help, guys, if you could hear me out here. I've decided where I want to move the studio, but I just need a little help. All right? Just a little, not much. Calvin Klein's Old Hamptons estate is listing for $165 million. Just a little help. Just a couple $100 million. If we could pull that off, would be great. We're going to put the studio here. Obviously, I'm being facetious. No, I wanted to pull this up quickly before we take calls. This house is so beautiful. It was built in the 1800s. How many people out there are a sucker for real estate? A sucker for unique and cool houses? They don't build like this anymore. Imagine living there. What do you think it'll go for, guys? Listed at $165 million. Do you think they'll pull it in? And I think, did they shoot some of Wolf of Wall Street here? I think they shot a movie here one time. $165 million. There you go. And if it sells for that, it will break the record, the most expensive sale of a house ever at the Hamptons. You know what? Since I was showing you that house, I can show you here. Let's take a quick glance at the new Air Force One that Trump debuted today. Trump unveils new Air Force One, a $400 million plane gifted by Qatar. Yeah, well, we can't, for whatever reason, Boeing can't build an Air Force One anymore. Whatever the hell is going on with that. Trump ordered that 8 years ago now? So we can't get a new Air Force One from Boeing. So Trump has decided to turn the gifted jet from Qatar into the new Air Force One. That is a beauty. Thank you, Qatar. That's nice. Thank you, Qatar. That's like a good ally. When does the jumbo jet that Israel gifted us from our greatest ally, when does their jumbo jet that they gifted us show up? Oh, they didn't? Oh, they just took money from us? Qatar gave us a jumbo jet? What do you guys think about the paint job? I like it. I like the new aesthetics of the new Air Force One. Let's see if they end up using this or not. I wonder. Because at first they were saying they can't use it for Air Force One, but now since Boeing can't make the new Air Force One, they might be inclined to actually use this one, considering how nice it is inside. And I guess they have repurposed it. All right, let's take our final break of the show. And then we're going to take calls on the other side. And we will get to your super chats as well. Folks, don't forget about Crash Out Energy, the official energy drink of the Owen Report. Get yours today at crashout.energy. Folks, the reviews are in. People love this. This is what I drink every day before the show. This is really for mental energy and focus more than anything. That's what I designed this for. I have been, for years that I've been doing a 3-hour show, I've been drinking the 200 milligram caffeinated energy drinks and I've been taking it with, 4 or 5 different nootropics. And we start learning more about all of these different energy drinks and the bad ingredients and the negative health side effects. And I said, look, I've accepted I have a caffeine addiction. I'm not going to turn that off. I'm okay with it, at least for the near future. But if I'm going to be consuming caffeine, I can't do it every day with these energy drinks anymore. It's not good. It's not healthy. It's destroying me. So I said, well, what can I do? I have to make something that has the nootropics and the caffeine all in one drink mix, and that's Crash Out Energy. So it's the official energy drink of the Owen Report. It is formulated and made by me, for me, but for you as well. But that's what I do. I take it for a 3-hour show. I usually consume it about 2 o'clock so I can get my best prep work in right before the show and then do the 3-hour show. It's good for about 4 or 5 hours of energy. It's not like a normal energy drink where you drink it and you get that immediate burst. It's kind of more of a slow roll, but it's more of a mind focus. It's more of a mental focus. It's more of a mental energy and clarity. That's really what we designed it for. But you know what? You look at the ingredients of this stuff, folks, it's got everything in there. It's good for heart health. It's good for blood flow. It's good for mental focus. This thing is incredible. We've really done such a great job. Crash Out Energy, crashout.energy. Secure your canister today.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
Back to the show with your favorite talk show host, Tits McGee.
All right, guys, final hour of today's transmission. We are going to be taking calls pretty much the rest of the way. We will do super chats at the end of the show, as we do with every transmission. We get to your super chats at the end of the show. Thanks, everybody, for your super chats and for everybody that's helping build our YouTube channel. It's the one place we're kind of allowed to grow right now. So I appreciate those that are helping us out. I'm getting so crushed on X, guys. It's actually kind of funny. X is still great, don't get me wrong, but there's no growth potential there for me, and they basically don't even they don't even really pay me anymore either. So, whatever. Go where the getting's good, right? That's what they say. Go where the getting's good. So, good on YouTube right now, guys. Help us build the channel. Thank you. All right. Owen Report on YouTube. Phone lines are open, 747-255-60, 747-255-60. Remember, when you hear my voice, that means you are live. When you hear my voice, that means you are on the air. I just ask you your name and where you're from. I'm curious what the calls are going to sound like today. I have to tell you, I'm curious with the nature of the foreign policy negotiations happening. I'm curious, and really how diverse the crowd is, by the way. We've got people on all sides of the aisle that tune in here, so it'll be interesting to see what people are thinking after this crazy week. And I guess the deal that wasn't, really, at this point, it's the deal that wasn't, in a way. So, okay, first caller of the day. What is your name? Where are you from?
It is the great 7-Eleven from New York City.
All right, Ahmad, go ahead.
Yo, listen, I don't know if you've been paying attention. So Candace Owens, Jay Dyer, Chase Geyser, and then there was another one, Tucker Carlson. They all started discussing Freemasonry synchronized wise, like all within 2-3 weeks of each other. Jay Dyer and Chase, they had a debate with each other about, good or bad. Is it good or bad Freemasonry? You had Candace Owens accusing the French Freemasons of killing Charlie Kirk. And then you had Tucker Carlson saying that basically the country is overrun by darker cults and secret societies. So I want to know, Bill, whenever you're going to jump on that, I know you do political play-by-play, but it's a very big political play-by-play. And I just wanted to lend my support and help for you anytime, Owen, because I'm always on your side with that shit. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't really have that in my current interests right now. I do know Chase Geyser and Jay Dyer have been talking about Freemasonry for years. I mean, as long as I've known Chase and Jay and I've been following their work, they've been talking about it for years. I guess I'm not so familiar with Candace's coverage of that. It is an interesting topic. It's an interesting topic. I don't feel any need for me to weigh in simply because I'm not the big, I'm not the big expert. I'm not the big one that wants to talk about it. So, I mean, I see the coverage out there, but I'm not as familiar with this trend that you're talking about. Chase and Jay have been talking about it forever. By the way, I am going to be going on with Jay Dyer next month. We finally got a date booked for next month, so he may want to go there with me. I don't know. I may be interested in looking some of that up. Freemasonry, the connections to the beginning of the country, quite frankly, is where that starts with the United States of America. All right, let's go to the next caller. What's your name? Where you're from?
Matt from Virginia.
All right, Matt, go ahead.
A little low energy today, Owen.
I'm
low energy jab going.
I'm low energy today?
It feels like it. I watch you every day. A little low energy.
Well,
a little disappointed today.
Disappointed? What did you want?
Yeah.
Did you want me to rant and rave up here?
No, I'm going to do that. I'm going to crash out.
Oh, okay. Crash out of the day. Crash out of the day.
No. I'm going to keep it family friendly. I'm just disappointed in you.
Okay.
First time I've been disappointed in you.
All right.
Following the news, this week is a dead news week. This is a Nick Shirley Leering Center news week. Juneteenth was there as the holiday. They set you up to release valve this shit this week so that he goes, market's closed. I know, family friendly. I messed that up. I apologize. They set it up. School's out. Summer's starting. Easy walk through to the weekend. Buys time. Little relief valve, right? Pressure seems to come off. And now everybody's just focused off. Oh, the mask is off. And you said, folks, yesterday, they said these things. They can't go back on them now. But you're the same guy that played the mashup, showing no new wars 3,000 times. They went back on that. Why wouldn't they go back on this immediately? It's complete farcical. I called you when the war first started. I said the war's fake. You tell me you're a play-by-play guy. Do you believe the war even happened? You believe if it's real? Are we still at 13 casualties? Is Qatar still at 20% helium reduction? Nothing ever gets resolved. That's why Don from Orange County got so angry the other day. It's not just because there's no justice. It's because nothing ever gets resolved. Did Tulsi Gabbard make the final cut today with Fauci? Why isn't it resolved? Don't tell
Well,
me about
I'll tell you what. Hold on a second. Hold on. Whoa. Hold on a second, because we're starting to get into other things now with COVID and Tulsi Gabbard. So let's just pump the brakes for a second and talk about this week and the war, and let's actually put some qualifiers out here. Let's actually put some qualifiers out here. I would say, let's say that you and I are in a debate, a disagreement about this. Okay, I would say that what I would like to see, I guess they put 60 days on it, right? I think that that's a little too long for me. So let's say in the next 30 days. I would like to see in the next 30 days the U.S. to slowly begin getting out of the region, getting out of the Strait of Hormuz, stopping the bombing, and then whatever needs to be done as far as dealing or not dealing with Israel. I actually want to see us and our side of the MOU, and I actually want to see our military get out of the region. I want to see our involvement in the region start to at least dissipate as far as this latest struggle is concerned. And if I see that, then I think that that's a difference, and that's real. Now, if we don't see that, then you can come back here and say, yeah, it was all a head fake. It was all a pressure relief, and then just to get right back into it after, whatever it is that they were trying to do in the interim here. I don't think that we can say for sure yet, though. Do you?
Well, let's establish parameters before that. Do we even close the Strait of Hormuz? You and I agree on this. Is it open? Is it closed? We've never even determined that. So how can you even say in the next 30 days you want to see us removed from there? We don't even know that we were even there. We've never even established that. So you can't set parameters now when you've never set parameters from the beginning. And I mean you, the collective, not you. That's why everybody is out of their minds. Because, yes, I brought up COVID, but it's all related. It's the same stories never get resolved, and so there's no justice and there's no resolution. So if you can never move on from a story and then you focus and you say, this is the one thing that's the most important thing, getting Israel out. Well, it's all tied together. You don't think Israel had to do with 9/11? You're the one that says everything starts at 9/11. And I don't disagree with that either. It goes way back.
Okay. But again, it's just like, I understand what you're saying, but this is a different issue. You're talking about none of these big issues get resolved. We never get any accountability. We never get any justice. That is a separate issue than in this week saying, are we finally getting out of this debacle with Iran? I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it is.
We won't know if we're out of it because the stories are never finalized. So it's not.
But I just told you what my qualifiers would be.
Yeah, but I just told you the original parameters. We don't even know if it was ever open or closed. We've already agreed on that, right? Do you agree
here's
with
what we
me?
Okay. Well, if you want to debate whether we know these things or not, I mean, how you can't even really have the debate if we don't know. Here's what we do know. We do know.
Then how can you set parameters if we don't know?
Because here's what we know. We know that the price of gas is up. That's what we know. And so if we see the price of gas go down,
think that we could just be told that, as I said when I called 90 days ago, they're just going to tell you that so that they can raise fuel prices.
No. Wait a second. What do you mean? You're paying more for gas now than you were when Trump got into office.
That's correct. Does that mean there was a war? Why can't they just raise gas prices? Have you ever seen two gas stations next to each other that don't have the exact same gas price, and yet there's no collusion?
All right. Right? So what is the ultimate point then here?
The ultimate point is you can't focus on one singular issue if you can't know that anything is real. You can't set the original parameters to then set follow-up parameters to say, well, yeah.
Well, I think that's I think that's kind of a dangerous logic to have, because if you're going to hold yourself to that logic, then really what can you even talk about outside of your own life? So I don't really know if I agree with this logic to say, hey, you can't talk about this one issue because we don't really know the truth. Well, then what do you know the truth about? Do you know gravity is real? Do you really know the earth, the shape of the earth, the size of the, I'm reaching it, but it's just like, so because I don't know what's actually happening in the strait, I shouldn't cover it at all. I understand the direction and the frustration. I do. I get it. We get no accountability. We have all this corruption. Nothing is ever resolved. Nobody's ever arrested. I get it. I'm with you on that. But okay. So I don't understand. You're saying that there is no war. It's all fake. I don't really know where it is you're going with this. I mean, maybe it's all fake. Maybe none of it's happening. But isn't that kind of then, aren't you getting into like QAnon territory and this is all just an act for something else? Or I guess you're reverse Q and it's all an act for the stock market or for something else? You know, here's where I think we're at. This is what I think I'm getting with the resistance factor today. And I have nothing against the caller. He brings up fine points. And it's nice that people can call into the show and disagree and look at different angles. I do think, though, we'll wait and see the results, right? Let's wait and see the results. But I do think there's a level now of, and Trump did this to himself. I mean, let's just say what it is. Trump did this to himself. But I think this resistance factor now is people are so distrusting of Trump and they look at Trump as the ultimate corruption now that they don't believe anything positive can come out of this administration. I think that that's the conclusion that a lot of people have reached. And I think that that's what I'm hearing in the callers that, let's say, maybe disagree with my coverage of this or disagree with certain conclusions or angles that I'm reaching here. I think it seems like that's where this is coming from. It seems like the conclusion has been reached that Trump is so corrupt that nothing real can happen, nothing good can happen in this administration now, and that just kind of bogs down the thought process or the analyzation process when that's your prerequisite for everything, is that Trump's in office, so everything sucks now, everything is bad, he's the most corrupt ever. So if that's the conclusion you've reached, then that's the conclusion you're gonna reach. And I guess I'm just still doing political play-by-play. And I'm saying, no, there is stuff happening. We can see the shift. We can see the drama. We can see the panic. We don't know the results yet. But we can certainly see the shift. We can certainly see the movements. But I get it. No, Trump did this to himself. Trump did this to himself. And there are a lot of people that feel the same way. It's that they'll never be able to trust Trump, and they'll never be able to trust that anything happening in this administration is legitimate or face value or even good. That's the conclusion that people have reached. I think that's what's being expressed in these calls. And maybe it took me a couple of phone calls to kind of understand that now. With people that are kind of calling in, maybe critical of me, however you want to put it, disagreeing, whatever. It's political debate. It's political discourse. I think that that's what it is. I think that you are now so convinced that Trump is the bad guy that there is nothing good or nothing real that can happen moving forward. And maybe that's a fair conclusion to reach. But I think there are real developments happening. I do. I think this week, I think the week that we just had could potentially be the week where maybe we start to change U.S. foreign policy. Maybe I'm hopeful, maybe I'm wrong, but that's just how I see the things playing out. That's how I'm calling it right now. We'll see what the results are. But I think I understand. I think that that's where you guys are coming from with this. Understandable. Trump did it to himself. Here we are. But I'm not so convinced that means that there's nothing else good that can happen, you know? I think that's a little bit too much to put on Trump, period. You know, it's like there's other people with Trump. It's kind of like we're almost kind of falling into the same trap of the Trump vortex. It's like, you know, stuff happens outside of Trump, without Trump, before Trump, after Trump. It's like, you know, you don't get out of the Trump vortex for a second. Like, other stuff happens. There's other people out there. There's other movers and shakers out there. So I feel like it's kind of like the Trump vortex, just keeping you like Trump is the sun, everything orbits around. And I just don't think we're there. I don't really buy that. Next caller, what's your name, where you're from?
Hey, Owen, it's Tay from Florida.
All right, Tay, go ahead.
Yes, we Floridians do not celebrate Black Lives Matter Juneteenth today.
You're not celebrating Juneteenth.
No.
Hmm.
And we can thank Ron DeSantis for it.
What did Ron DeSantis say?
Nothing.
Oh,
Fishback 2026.
I guess that's right then. I guess that's like because the Texas Rangers don't do a gay night at the stadium, because they don't do the LGBTQ Pride night, that's their statement, is by not doing it. So I guess DeSantis not making the June 19th statement is the statement then. All right, I dig it. Next caller, what's your name, where you're from?
What's up, man? Sean from Iowa.
All right, Sean, go ahead.
You know what gets me thinking is like when the Gaza crap first started, how did Trump and everyone not flip then? Like, you know, that should have been so clear.
Wait, what do you
like,
mean?
This is
What do you mean Gaza started?
like when they started bombing all the kids and all the deaths.
Okay, so you're talking about post. Okay, but you're talking about post September or post October 7th.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Yeah. Well,
Like,
it's
how can
like,
you get
you know,
into that
here
and not
what's
quit?
interesting. The reason I asked that is obviously this whole thing has been going on for a while, but it's been going on before October 7th. But for whatever reason, the October 7th was meant to be Israel's 9/11. It's like 9/11 was the U.S.'s green light to go bomb and do whatever the hell you want, and your country will support it. October 7th was meant to have that same purpose in Israel, and for the most part, I think it's been pretty close to serving that purpose. But it's starting to wear thin, and their moral high ground is not really holding.
Right. But you know what gets me is I recently got back from El Salvador, and I don't know if you've seen what's been going on there. Like Bukele's like fixed everything. He's gotten all the corrupt people out.
Yeah.
He's fixing the country everywhere. And like you can see it.
Yeah, Bukele has proved. Bukele has proved it can be done.
Yeah, and that's what gets me thinking is like he puts it in your face. Like you can see everything being fixed and like you can see it. But like all this, like Trump's gonna flip and like he's gonna come back and fix everything. Like to me, like you should be able to see it and it should be really clear. It shouldn't be like behind all these levels and all that.
Well, sure. That's why we've had the issue. You know, that's why I've been doing all these debates, because it's not happening. Exactly. But that's why I'm saying it's like you can't get trapped in this thought process. It's like, yeah, all these other things, okay, we're not happy about it, they're not happening or whatever, there's no accountability. That doesn't mean that other stuff isn't happening, good or bad. So I'm just saying, I think that whatever is this latest deal with Trump and Iran and Israel, I think this is real movement. I think this is really something going on here. I don't know what the end result is going to be. But I feel like it's different. Whatever it is, good or bad, I feel it's different. I feel the whole vibe has shifted. I think the reaction from all sides is kind of very telling. You know, and now Trump is kind of remaining silent. I'm sure he had some involvement in the ceasefire. I think it was, I think the Qatar delegation is the one that claimed to broker the ceasefire. I'm sure Trump had some involvement in that. But, you know, there was someone else that said it too. It's like, you know, this is the one thing that Republicans or right-wingers maybe, the one problem that we have, we always do this to ourselves, is it's like whenever we have the opportunity to build a larger coalition, or whenever we have the opportunity to, you know, ingratiate somebody into our side of politics, we always find a way to ruin it. We always find a way to blow it up and ruin it. And maybe sometimes that's what needs to be done. But it seems like that's kind of the case. It's like, I don't want this. Let's not, if Trump is potentially going on our direction with this foreign policy, do we really want to push him right back away? Or do we want to, you know, look at this with open arms and say, hey, okay, come back home? Or do we really want to throw our arms up and say, no, we don't want anything to do with you, screw you? I don't think that's a good strategy here, especially if we're serious about having this foreign policy shift. It's like if we have an opportunity to change Trump's mind right now, why wouldn't we take it, no matter what you think about Trump? I don't want to push Trump back to the other way. Next caller, what's your name? Where you from?
Hey, it's Owl Killer calling in. It's Owl Killer from Virginia.
All right, Owl Killer. You sound like you've been drinking some crash out today. You talk fast.
Nah, man, it's my I got bad allergies, and it just rained, so they should be going away. But hey, so I tend to agree with you, and the reason I agree with what you're saying as far as Trump pushing back on Israel is the sense that he's putting everything we already know. He's already saying it. He's saying it in the media. If you understand what I'm saying, where he's calling out Israel's faults, or like bombing the hell out of Beirut. And he's basically putting it on Front Street for the media. So it's like everything we already knew, but you're not allowed to say. He's saying, hey, Israel's going too far.
Well, and
now,
wouldn't I be a crazy person, though? I feel like I would. Maybe I am a crazy person. But wouldn't I come off as a crazy person if here I am for 12 straight months going this direction on foreign policy, going this direction on my show and my commentary, and now here we are this week, and Trump sounds like me, Vance sounds like me, and now it's like we are starting to steer the narrative. We're starting to actually win this narrative war, and now the political minds might be shifting here, and they're all sounding like us. It's like I'd be crazy not to embrace this moment. Yeah, maybe it ends up being fake. Maybe it ends up going the other way. Maybe we end up getting stabbed in the back again. But I feel like I'd be nuts, since there could be a potential here, since there could be an opportunity. I feel like I'd be nuts to not accept and embrace this moment as a potential to reverse course on this disastrous foreign policy. It's just like they're talking like us now, guys. This is like the Owen Report is now J.D. Vance's media tour. I mean, how can I not at least feel a little optimistic, even if it is just 1%?
Well, pay attention to what you've been seeing coming out in the news, where you see where they're coming out with these leaks where they're calling, Susie Wiles was calling J.D. Vance a conspiracy theorist and everything. And I don't trust J.D. Vance, but I like the bad stuff they say about him, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this is reality. The way that I see things is I would call China and I would call Russia, but that will drive the Zionism, the Christian Zionists nuts with the Gog and Magog stuff. But I would say for Israel's too dangerous right now, and they cannot have definitely not this elected government. We will provide. The Jews do deserve they do deserve to be able to live in peace. We'll provide them security. Nothing can happen to them. But this government, these guys got to go to jail. That's the only way you're going to stop this. And the Strait of Hormuz would open up for no money. I guarantee you Iran would say, hey, if you agree to
I wonder if you push for regime change in Israel, what the regional powers would say in response to that. I think it would probably be welcomed.
Look, but like prior to Israel being there with the Ottoman Empire, that's how it was run. Is you had somebody guaranteeing the safety and security for the Christians, the Jews, and the Muslims over there.
Well, you know what? I feel like here's maybe this is the point we're getting to, and it kind of is the point we need to get to, and it's sad. I'm glad I don't live in the Middle East, right? I mean, I'm glad. Yep. I'm glad I don't live in the Middle East. I'm glad I don't live in Israel. I'm glad I'm not neighbors with Israel, because it seems like it seems like this is the moment we have to have, and maybe we're as close to it. We're brushing up against it right now, which is all right. Eventually, Israel is going to start a war, and we're not going to be there, right? It's like eventually that's going to happen. I don't know if that's going to be today, tomorrow, this month, this year. But eventually, we're going to get there. Eventually, Israel is going to start another war, and America is going to say, we're out. We're out. And that's going to be the ultimate Middle East correction moment right there. When the U.S. removes its interests as far as its blood and treasure, its military, and we remove that out of the Middle East and we say, Israel, you're on your own, that's when the entire power shift in the region happens. And it's like eventually we're going to get there. And it feels like this is the closest we've ever been to that ever.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head earlier, where you said that these people are crazy enough to blow the planet up. And I'm tired of hearing about this damn Samson option. We supposedly attacked Iran because they were on the verge of a nuclear weapon or had one and was going to use it, right? So, but we're admitting that, I mean, Jonathan Pollard basically admitted that they strong-armed us into the backing them on the Yom Kippur War, and now we're saying again, they said that if you don't, and that they had, did you see that interview where he allegedly, well, not allegedly, he says that they had nuclear weapons on the tarmac on one of the planes, and said, "Hey, if you don't back us, take a look at what's on the tarmac."
Yeah,
and
he said that to Huckabee, didn't he?
I don't know if it was Huckabee, but it was an interview within the last couple of years.
I know what you're talking about. It was in Israel. It might not have been with Huckabee, but I know what you're talking about.
But basically, they're doing to us what we say Iran might do. So, for some reason, people just can't get between their two ears that I am not calling for the destruction of Israel. I want nothing bad to happen to Israel. I'm saying that the people that are running that government are too crazy right now, and they just got to be brought to heel. I'm not calling for an attack on them, but like just around the world, people need to say enough's enough. You got to step down. You got to go to jail. You got to do your time, and we will provide security for the people in Israel because they do. It's just like living here. The people in Israel, you got crazy people like Ben Gvir, like you got crazy people like Lindsey Graham, but that's not what the people want. It's the same thing with somebody like an Erdogan who shoots his mouth off. The people in Turkey don't have enough money to fill up their gas tank. People just want to live in peace. They want to be able to make a living, and right at the current moment. On the political faction that is running Israel is just too extreme, and they got to be removed from power. And I don't mean violently. Yeah. I mean that we put the pressure on them, and you got to step down, and it's over.
Well, that's what it is. And they have failed, honestly. And I think that might be partially responsible for why Netanyahu and Ben Gvir are behaving the way they are, is because they have failed. They are miserable failures. And there's no way they can spin it. And they know the only way that they can maybe save their reputation as far as Israel's history is concerned is by expanding the borders. The only way Netanyahu and Ben Gvir can go into the history books as not utter failures and death merchants and war criminals is by taking Palestine, taking the West Bank, taking the Golan Heights, and taking southern Lebanon. Now, they might realize Turkey's going to be too much. Let's just go for this. And then our legacy will be expanding the borders of the Jewish state and taking Palestine. And I think that that's what it is. I think that they look at themselves as complete and utter failures, and they are. They haven't protected Jewish people. They haven't protected Israel. Israel is in the worst state as far as popularity is concerned, probably in its history. You talk about, we always hear about anti-Semitism and all this stuff. Well, yeah, you can thank Netanyahu and Ben Gvir for that. So Netanyahu and Ben Gvir are complete and utter failures. But instead of just stepping off the stage in disgrace, they're going to try to kill their way into popularity. And that's what Vance is saying. I mean, this is what everybody has realized. But you know what? You said it, and that's just the truth. And this is what I said earlier. It's like we're in this paradox now because all eyes are on the Middle East. It's like everything that we've been told to about Iran is true about Israel. It's like Israel is the nuclear threat, not Iran. Iran isn't the one that's going to be nuking the world. Iran isn't the one that's going to be dropping nukes. It's going to be Israel. And it's like, but that's why I'm saying it's like the mask off moment. What's going to be the next mask off moment? I mean, you had Mark Levin bragging about Israel's nukes yesterday in a threatening nature. Are you kidding me? Where are they going to go next? Next caller, what's your name? Where you're from?
Hey there, Owen. Don from Orange County.
All right, Don, go ahead.
I just had to call in. I heard my name earlier. I just had to call it. I'm kind of polishing up my Harley right now. I'm getting things situated and having a little Zen thing and listening to the show. Have you ever seen that commercial, the insurance commercial, where the guy has a fishing pole and there's a dollar dangling at the end of it, and then he's fishing for the customer, and all of a sudden he just pulls the dollar away, and it's just like just keeps teasing him with it. That is what's going on here with the entire thing. Because see, we all have to just take a step back and look at what's going on. We as a country, as a nation, are allowing these people these demons to constantly require us or ask us to keep moving the goalpost in our mind with what they're doing. All the while, nothing is changing. Everything, look, I don't know about you guys I don't know where in Texas, but in California, we depend on the Colorado River for water and everything, and the mountain water and all that stuff. Well, all that's going to data centers. But that's not just happening here, it's happening everywhere. But see, we got all these things. What does this war mean? So long as pedophiles are still running our country, so long as
Sure.
status quo is still happening.
Yeah.
Nothing is changing. It's like I don't give a crap about the war anymore. I never really did. I'm just saying this, nothing real is happening in terms of what's benefiting us, and they always just keep dangling that dollar in front of us, and then they just pull it away. You know, and they're toying with us.
Sure, I get that. And that's what I said the other day. I said, look, even if I want to go on the positive here about what Trump and Vance are doing in this latest round of negotiations, that doesn't nullify the other grievances. So, you know, let's be clear about that again. I'm not telling you, hey, forget about mass deportations, forget about the Epstein client list, all the other grievances. I'm not saying we give that up. That's not what this is about. This is about we have the opportunity to apply pressure. The momentum is on our side. The foreign policy is a big issue. If we have a chance to win, why not take it? If we have a chance to get the foreign policy the direction that we want it to go, is it really a novel idea to sit here and say, I don't want to try to win because none of these other things are happening? I'm sorry. I just don't think that's a good strategy. We don't give up the past grievances. Don't get me wrong. We still have our issues. We still have our grievances. We still have things that need to be done. But why am I going to sit here and paralyze myself when I could have other opportunities for victory? And instead, I'm going to paralyze myself over the other stuff. I just don't think that's good strategy. I don't think that's good mindset. And I feel like if we get caught in this trap right now and we don't continue to apply pressure on the administration and we don't continue to push back against the neocons and the foreign lobbyists, then we're spoiling this opportunity to correct course. We're spoiling this opportunity to get the foreign policy going the right direction. We're spoiling it. I'm not going to do it. I understand the hangups, and if you can't get over them, that's fine. I'm not telling you to. I'm just telling you, as somebody that's been doing politics and in the media for this long, I'm just telling you from where I'm sitting, there is a real opportunity for foreign policy change right now. Even if it is just a tiny window, even if it is like, you know, a camel through the eye of the needle, there is a real opportunity right now. And if we spoil it, we might not get another opportunity. And if we spoil it, it could expand. The war could expand. And I certainly don't want either one of those things to happen. But this is what everybody is looking at right now. Let's not spoil it. Let's not sit up there and watch 3 strikes go right down the plate and then go sit our ass on the bench because we're upset about the last at bat. Let's not do that. That's how I feel. Some callers obviously disagree, as we see on the lines today. All right, one more call, and then I'm going to go to the super chats. What's your name? Where are you from?
Ramon, Southern California.
All right, Ramon, go ahead.
You know how they say you cannot negotiate with terrorists? Israel is literally the terrorist you cannot negotiate with. And they have proven it over and over. The projection that the things they say about Iran is literally everything they are. They have proven themselves to be just as diabolical as they possibly can. And I'm just wondering, has J.D. Vance, I haven't been following today, I was at work, has J.D. Vance or Trump responded to Netanyahu's blatant, his post showing how he was bombing Lebanon?
No, they've been silent. They've been silent today, which was surprising. So my assumption is there's not much in the press about this. I assumed that after we saw what Israel did in Lebanon, that Trump or Vance would be making a statement by the time we got up. I thought maybe we might get a 3 a.m. post from Trump even. So instead, they've been relatively quiet, which even that could be a sign, maybe a good sign. I don't know. Normally, there's comments. Normally, Trump is saying something by now. The fact that and Trump's been in front of the press today and didn't say anything. So they're obviously strategically silent on this. They have made the decision to remain strategically silent on this. Surprising to me. But that's also different than how they've normally handled it in the past. So my guess is, I think we all kind of understand what Israel decided. They said, hey, you're not going to tell us we can't bomb, so we're just going to go bomb just to prove to you that we can. And then I think, Iran and Trump and the rest of the world said, hey, this is how Israel behaves. They've got their finger on a nuclear button. We have to be very delicate about this. Yep, they're going to start death and destruction again, but let's just, let them have their temper tantrum, and then they'll run out of energy for a minute, and maybe then we can get a deal for a ceasefire. And that's kind of what happened. I'm assuming Trump had something to do with the ceasefire. I mean, I think that's a pretty safe assumption that Trump had something to do with the ceasefire between Hezbollah and Israel. And so we're all kind of wondering, why is Trump silent on this today, considering the harsh rhetoric that we've seen all week from Trump and Vance regarding the situation? But they are clearly strategically silent. I mean, I would say that they've made the decision to not comment on this for the time being, for whatever reason. I don't know. All right, that's going to do it for the phone lines today. Thanks for everybody for calling in. Let's now go to our super chats. Thanks to everybody for following us and subscribing to the YouTube channel, The Owen Report, and all of our super chatters. Dust Vault leads us off today. Opposite world, AJ way down on Trump and Owen optimistic. The Twilight Zone. Well, who was right the first time, huh? Hey. It would be crazy if Alex missed the turnaround from being burnt a million times before. Wow, I didn't know that. I'm a stupid goy, but I'm falling for it again, and I'm all in on Vance. I'm just addicted to pain. What are we going to do about you goys? I'm a Martian, so I don't really count. I'm from a different planet and a different time entirely, time-traveling Martian, so I don't really count. Owen in a hat from Love Knots. What do you guys think about the hat today? The hair was crazy today. I didn't want to deal with it, and I wanted to show a little bit of American pride since the U.S. men's team is advancing in the World Cup today. So there it is. It's a different look. Celebrating the holiday with fried chicken and watermelon, grape Kool-Aid for the kids, and malt liquor for the grown-ups. Thank you, King of Doll. Thank you. Thank you for that. Happy holidays. Enjoy. Frankie Rios. Is Trump pulling the funding? No. Yeah, well, that's one measurement. Wolfie, Trump and Vance look like A-class cucks. That's certainly been the story. Not going to stop till stopped. DZ, Trump next step, denounce AI, data centers, and Kushner. Well, that's what I would consider ridiculously high hopes. I wouldn't bet on any of that. But hey, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? That could change the entire scope of the midterms. Ken Rose, thank you. Also, lots of hip-hop music and twerking. Hope nobody gets shot. Good Lord. Freddie Jones Jr. Shulai Egar heard you mock him for having a pedo producer and was pretty heated. He said you're obviously an anti-Semite. Who? First of all, I have no idea. I think I have no idea about anything that you're talking about. I don't know who Shulai Egar is. I have one producer, DMT, so I don't know what producer you're talking about. DMT, that's somebody who's been a friend of mine for like 20 years. So I don't know what it is. I think you're getting somebody's got their lines crossed here. I think this is either not about me or I don't know. You know, people make stuff up about me. It's kind of funny. People just make stuff up about you. Like they just make stuff up entirely. I think we might be in one of those realms. I have no idea at all what you're talking about. So unless I'm missing something here, I'm clueless as far as what that is. Tay-Tay, BLM Juneteenth, not celebrated in Florida. Well, you know what? Trump's cutting your funding now, you bigots. Told you, Trucker Boy, the real Emperor Palpatine. I don't think we're there. What told me what? I don't know. I need a little. Told me what? Let's hear it. You're winking at me. Maha Institute got the call. Rescinded Fishback endorsement. Didn't see that. Hello, Kitty. Oh, and you are looking handsome. However, what's up with the girly hair? Hi, everyone in the chat. Happy June 15th. The girly hair? Is my hair girly? Or curly? You're meaning to say curly is what you're saying. I know. What's up with the curly? I didn't even know my hair was curly, actually. I've never had it long, and I didn't realize that I had these curly locks. Who is Miss Anita J? She seems nice. Yeah, she's in the chat every day here. Regular listener. Interestingly bored. Don't let us catch you in Dallas again. What is that a reference to? What are you talking about? Are you talking trash right now? Are you talking about when the St. Louis Blues whooped your ass in the Western Conference Finals and a whole stadium of Stars fans was trying to fight me because I had a Blues hat on? Is that what you're talking about? Owen Jones Schroyer. They know their time is running out. Boomers are the only generation left that is brainwashed by them. That's one way of putting it. They literally run America. They are about to tank the economy so hard and cause a Great Depression times 2. Well, maybe you want to prepare for that. Maybe they'll try. Let's hope Trump at least would try to not let that happen, at the bare minimum. And I don't think he would. I think Trump would sooner print $1 trillion than to let that happen, which I think he's already done a couple times. They would rather level entire cities than risk one soldier because their religious beliefs teach them that nobody is fully human but them. If only we knew who he was talking about. So vague. Nobody knows. Tim 3000. Am I nuts for thinking the United States men's national team has a chance to win the whole thing? I don't think so. Here's what I was saying about it today. And I will tell you, I bought I think I got like 250 shares for the U.S. men's team to win at like 4 cents a share or whatever it was. Because in Texas, we have to use prediction markets. Gambling isn't legal here. Prediction markets work a little bit differently than typical gambling, casino type gambling. No, I actually have a bet on the U.S. men's team to win it all. Now, I don't think they actually will. But this is what I was saying today. I'm watching the game with some family in town before I got in the studio. This team is different, man. This men's team, I don't know if the U.S. men's soccer program is like finally getting on the right path where we're like actually competitive on the world stage for the first time ever. Because it's kind of mind-blowing. I mean, I get our athletes go play basketball, football, and it's like anything but soccer. But it's still, our women's are the best team in the world every year. It's like, why are the men's lagging so much? But I was watching the game today, and I said the first game, it was like, okay, this is like the best I've seen the team perform in decades. And then again, it was the same thing today. I mean, this is a team that plays like a world powerhouse soccer team now. I mean, this is a team that plays with the confidence and the swag of a world powerhouse soccer team. I don't know if they can win it all this year, but they're competing like they can play with anybody. I'm not convinced right now that the United States men's team can't compete with anybody. I mean, put them on the field with Brazil, put them on the field with Argentina, put them on the field with Spain, put them on the field with the French. I think they're competitive. I don't know if they can win, but I think they're competitive. Ole, ole, ole. It's fun, man. Anybody down on the World Cup, I feel bad. Look, if you don't like sports or soccer, that's fine. But this World Cup has been fun, man. It's been fun. I'm fully in. I'm fully bought in now. The lip filler has migrated to her brain. You got to be talking about Loomer. Veteran for life. Larry Loomer has man hands. Can't be unseen. Oh, my gosh. Here come the Loomer chats. Larry Loomer looks like the movie Smile character. What did she do to her face? Love you. Have a fab weekend, everybody. Laura said that she had no cosmetic surgery. What an unbelievable lie. She might have the most public rhinoplasty in the history of political media. Everybody knows Laura got a nose job. It was public. She bragged about it. She took pictures with her plastic surgeon, I think. She posted them. And then she comes out and says, I never had cosmetic surgery. It's like, what? We all watched you chop your nose. Everybody knows you chopped your nose. It's like, how can people be such liars? And if it's not a lie, then how can you not even remember when somebody chopped the nose off your face? It's like, oh, I forgot. oh, yeah. Totally forgot. Totally normal. Remember Loomer's slashed tires. Never forget. Yeah, that was a fun one. We're going way back here with Dustin. That's a throwback from Dustin. It's all fun and games at the World Cup for foreigners until they leave in a month and have to ask the stewardess for a seatbelt. Yeah, because they're so fat. Yeah, I think a lot of Europeans are going to be going back home with a couple extra pounds. Maybe an extra inch or two around the waist. They're going to need a seatbelt extender. Palmetto Hawk, winning issues. The midterms include anti-APEC and anti-data centers. Republicans are on the wrong side of both issues. Yeah, we've been saying that here. We've been saying that here for the whole entirety of the Owen report, but even beyond that. The only question was how hard are Democrats going to lean into these issues, and it's pretty clear they're going to go in. I don't think they're going to go all in. They're going to be strategic about it, but they're definitely going to be in. They're going to be anti-APEC. They're going to be anti-data centers, and it will be a winning issue for them. And I think it's just a matter of how winning. Jen Common, I sent you a super chat last week in response to you asking about blackouts in your area, and I specifically said it's data centers. How about that, Jen? It only is a matter of time before we're right. You know, it's only a matter of time. Light years ahead of the rest. Our media is pathetic. MS Downs reporter is fingering the reflective pool behind you. Oh, I missed that. What did they like dip their toe in or something? Were they like literally like trying to touch the bottom of the reflecting pool? They'll probably run it again this week and I'll get a chance to see it. MS Now. You're on the air. You're standing there. You're an MS Now field reporter. I've met some of them. You're an MS Now. They used to actually have they used to put some really good looking women out in the field. I don't think they really do that anymore. You're an MS Now field reporter. They send you to the reflecting pool. You know, you got your earpiece in, the studio's in your ear. Can you guys, some of you probably got to witness this when we used to do this with Alex. The only difference was at InfoWars, Alex would do it all on air. So when I would be doing field reports and standing reports and Alex would be like screaming in my ear. And sometimes I'd literally have to rip my earpiece out because it's like, what am I doing? I can't talk. I can't do a report. So most producers do that and it doesn't go out on air. It just goes into their ear. With Alex, he does it all on air. So it ends up for some interesting content. You're standing there and the producer is in your ear saying, okay, we need you to finger the pool. It's like, what? Yeah, finger the pool. Okay, I'm going to touch the water now. I'm going to put my hand in the pool. Hardy har har. It's like, all right. Now take your shoes and socks off and dip your toe in the water. We want to see your feet in the reflecting pool. It's like, all right, I'm going to take my shoe off now. We're going to test the water. Now pull some algae out. Yeah, pull some. Now eat it. Eat the algae. Yes. Yeah, go in the pool. Rip the paint off the bottom of the pool. This is what's in the ear of the field reporter. They're probably ignoring these requests. The Zucker. I had a theory. Was the UFO and Bigfoot created by the CIA to distract people from looking into the problems in our country? It was a thought of mine. CIA media false flags. So you talk about Bigfoot and UFOs and they know they're fake. It wouldn't surprise me. A lot of people think that that's the case with NASA. And a lot of that is true with NASA, by the way. NASA admits that pretty much all of their images that they put out are fake. I mean, that's not even a conspiracy theory. That's their own admission. And they've been caught faking stuff, too. I'm not telling you that space is fake or whatever. But a lot of people believe that about NASA. Hello Kitty is back. Has anyone here heard of Daron Kaider? He's former IDF Special Forces who now helps train U.S. law enforcement departments. He will not leave me alone. He came across me because of my tiny hat bashing. I don't know about that, but we knew. But, they tell you they're doing this, so you're on their list. It's the woke right coming for you, except the woke right is mostly foreign interests. At least the woke left is American interests for the most part. Endless possibilities. Pure cope again. Maybe we'll get stabbed in the back again. I'm optimistic. Well, what's one more stab in the back? You know, what's one more stab in the back? Doesn't really make much of a difference at this point, so let's hope it's not. Sorry, I missed the chat today. I called like 10 times, but DMT ignored me. I got to go. Have a good weekend. No, DMT doesn't run the phone lines. I run the phone lines. Owen doesn't understand this relationship is death till death do us part. You guys are so lost. Really? Till death do us part. Yeah, that's what they say at the wedding altar too. And about half of those death till death do us parts end before death. Ken Rose, someone else said this in the chat, and I agree. I would wait a couple months and or close to after the midterms before jumping to any conclusions about the future of our foreign policy. Or maybe even more accurately, after the midterms. Because we already see the Israeli lobbyists and voices like Mark Levin saying, okay, we want peace till after the midterms. So you know what's so amazing about that, by the way? It's only a matter of time before they finally are honest. And they never tell you the truth, but they'll at least be honest. So here's Mark Levin admitting it. They know Israel is unpopular. They know the American foreign policy is unpopular. So now they come out publicly and they say, hey, Trump, pretend like you don't want war and pretend like you're going against Israel just until after the midterms so that we can deceive Republican voters into voting for us again and then lie to them and get right back into war in the Middle East. It's amazing. Eventually, honesty comes out. They never tell you the truth. Mark Levin will never tell you the truth, but the honesty eventually gets out. It's like Mark Levin. You know Israel has nukes, right? You know we got nukes, right? It's like he's not telling you how Israel stole nuclear technology from the United States and holds the world hostage with nukes. He's just like, hey, you know, Israel has big bombs too. It's like, It's like, oh, the truth eventually comes out. He just doesn't tell you the truth. So, yeah, Levin is like, oh, boy, okay, we admit this war is unpopular. We admit the foreign policy is unpopular. So let's lie to Republicans and tell them it's over and then get right back in after the midterms. I appreciate the honesty from Levin. He doesn't tell you the truth, but every once in a while the honesty comes out. Owen went out with a Brasilia and a Peruvian. Yeah, that is true. Thank you for alerting the audience. Can we let China have the curse of the Middle East? China doesn't want it. China is the opposite. China just wants to, help itself. And that's why they cut deals with Iran for oil, because it benefits them. China would never get involved in a conflict in the Middle East like we have. China puts China first. Think what you want about the Chi-Coms and their domestic policies. I'm no fan. But their foreign policy does better for China than ours does. Crow Crisis, thank you. Vance just blocked a punt, and it's sitting in the end zone for us to pounce on. You don't have to like or support Trump to pounce on that effing thing. That's a good way to put it. I like the sports analogies. You guys caught on to that probably? I would like to wish you all a happy Juneteenth, but I couldn't care less. We have but one Independence Day, and it's July 4th. James Fishback. The GUI. I'm in the middle of a housing crisis right now, and I came across a website that shows foreclosures and people defaulting on mortgages. It's insane. It is insane. It's at a record high, actually. It is at a record high. And you know what's unfortunate about that? So many of these are because property tax increases. So you could be sitting at a mortgage rate that you agreed to that you can afford. I mean, let's just, I'm just making up these numbers, but let's say you get a mortgage and you're signed on to $2,500 a month for your mortgage rate. It's like, okay, I can afford $2,500 a month. And then there's a big tax increase, and now you're at $3,500 a month, and maybe you can't afford $3,500 a month, and then you foreclose. So that's happening to a lot of people. It's very unfortunate. And then they don't even want to go into the process of getting another mortgage because the interest rates are double what they were or more when they signed their current mortgage. It's a mess. Oh, and I share your optimism. I voted for Trump in 16, but not 20 or 24, but I understand those who did, how betrayed they feel, and why the negative reactions. I'm also proud of how the World Cup is going. Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, Ivan. And remember, a description is not always an endorsement, guys. Just remember that. I do political play-by-play. Don't shoot the messenger here. Made you trip. I'm so thankful you're here. I dropped Alex last year. And you're a poet, and you didn't even know it. Little Saigon, studio apartment in Tel Aviv alone, or Calvin Klein's mansion with Laura Loomer? You know what? I'm taking Calvin Klein's mansion with Loomer because it's so big. I could put Loomer on the other side of it, and I'll never even have to hear her or about her or anything. So I'm definitely staying here in Calvin Klein. I don't really have any interest in going to Israel, I will tell you. Really none at all. Really none at all in the Middle East. I like the West. I got to tell you, I like the West. I do. I like North America. I like South America. I'm a little curious about Central America. Maybe someday I'd like to see Europe. Maybe someday I'd even like to see East Asia, Japan. Middle East, got to tell you, probably the lowest on my interest rates. Maybe some of the Gulf nation states look interesting. I will say some of the Gulf nation states look interesting. Middle East is like the least of my interests as far as international travel is concerned, though, I have to tell you. I'd rather go back to Rio 10 times probably before. In fact, I'd rather go back to Rio de Janeiro 100,000 times before I go to Israel once. But that's more about Rio, I think, than Israel. I'm sure Israel is beautiful. And maybe someday they can figure out peace in the Middle East. Maybe. And you can go there and enjoy it. But no, not so interested. And you know, of course, I've had the offer, so just not interested. That's going to do it, guys. That's going to do it for today. Crazy week. I mean, that's a crazy week. Flew by, too. Felt like 2 almost, even though it flew by. It flew by, but it felt like 2. We sign off for the weekend. We'll be back Monday. Same time, same channel. Thanks to everybody. Folks, remember, if you like the show, all of our exclusive merchandise is at owenschroyer.store. Other ways to support the show also there at owenschroyer.store. And please continue to help us build the YouTube channel, folks. It's kind of the number one thing for us right now. So please give us a follow and like the video on YouTube. Owen Report on YouTube. Help us build that. Thank you. God bless. Godspeed. We'll see you Monday.